He's on fire for sure. Greg's ready to take over the airwaves of Highland. Good morning to you, Greg.
Thanks very much, Marty.
No problem.
I don't know which mic to put up. I don't know what time it is. Listen, thanks very much indeed. All right, it is the 9 till noon show, and it is 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Vatican Sistine Chapel has been closed to the public to allow for the election of the next Pope. Known as the conclave, the process will start once the 9-day mourning period for the late pontiff ends. Preparations include installing the chimney, where white smoke will rise when his successor is chosen. The man who passed away following a medical emergency on Mount Errigal on Saturday has been named as Carl Henderson of Fern Valley Close, Moira Armagh. Donegal Mountain Rescue and the Coast Guard Rescue 118 helicopter were called to the scene along with the critical care doctor. Funeral arrangements are to be confirmed. A report is expected to conclude that the BBC does not have a toxic workplace culture, but needs to act faster when staff step out of line. A review was launched after its former highest paid newsreader, Hugh Edwards, pleaded guilty to making indecent images of children. It's through the corporation will accept 3 clear practical recommendations for change. Local authorities are getting an additional €3 million to help improve the electoral register. It will allow each of them to take on 2 additional staff members to update the register and ensure the data is correct ahead of the presidential election later this year. Up until recently, online registration was only available in Dublin. However, since that's been rolled out nationwide, 880,000 applications have been received. Minister for Local Housing and Government James Brown says the register needs to be totally accurate.
The total funding for 2025 will be €3 million, and this will be a permanent change to our electoral register to ensure that for every election it's accurate, and that will give us precise information to ensure that only those who have a right to vote are registered and that there's not duplication or, for example, people who may be deceased, that they are removed from it as well.
The Cabinet will meet tomorrow to approve a further delay to the auto-enrolment pension scheme until January. Social Protection Minister Dara Calleary is expected to tell colleagues more time is needed to develop the complex system, which was due to come into effect on the 30th of September. Sinn Féin says the scheme has been promised for the last 20 years and further delays are unacceptable. The party's enterprise spokesperson Louise O'Reilly says the government needs to make it a reality.
They will be sitting there safe in the knowledge that their pensions are secure while they make decisions about low-income workers and women workers and other workers. I think it's absolutely reprehensible that the government won't change their mind even at this late stage and try to ensure that they pull out all the stops and make sure everyone is ready.
Looking now to weather, quite cloudy to begin today. Any remaining patchy rain and drizzle will be cleared by early afternoon. Dry for the rest of the day with hazy sunshine breaking through as the day goes on. That's with highs of 15 to 18 degrees. That's all for now from the newsroom. Good morning.
The Steakhouse Stack. With 2 layers of delicious beef, crispy onions and peppercorn sauce, it's the kind of McDonald's you take photos of to put pride of place on the mantelpiece. Sure, you'll need to make room, but you remember what your wedding day looked like. The Steakhouse Stack. It's McDonald's and then some. Available until the 17th of June. Served from 11 a.m. Subject to availability. Participating restaurants only.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Yes, hello, good morning, and you're very welcome along to Monday's 9 till noon show. It's 4 minutes past 9, and this Monday's the 28th of April 2025. How was your weekend? How are you all doing? I hope you're well. For many people, it's back to work and back to school and back to the routine. Chatting to different people over the weekend, and parents generally delighted, I think, when school's back. That's a generalisation, not everyone, but you know what I mean. And hopefully now we'll get a bit of good weather this week. The forecast's looking pretty decent for tomorrow, Wednesday, and not too bad either into the weekend. Anyway, we're going to focus on today for now. 086 60 25,000. The WhatsApp and text line is open for you. Send in your messages if you choose to. If you want to send a voice message, feel free to do so to WhatsApp on 086 60 25,000. It's 07491 25,000 if you want to pick up the phone and give us a call, or you can email comments at highlandradio.com. And you can email us whenever you're listening to the show, whether it's a podcast or when we repeat the show in the early hours of the morning. Don't feel your voice is not as important as the live listeners. Of course it is. And, of course, you can watch the show if you're at home. We're on your smart TV or your Fire Stick on the YouTube app. Just search Highland Radio Ireland, and also on Facebook and on X. More woes for our firefighters when visiting the scene of a blaze, it would seem, according to the Derry People Donegal News. Of course, in the past, we've discussed issues of finding hydrants being covered over or not functioning or not where they're supposed to be, and hopefully those concerns are being addressed. But there's further concerns being raised over water pressure issues on the site of the devastating fire that destroyed St Mary's Church in Derrybeg on Easter Monday. It's emerged the fire crews had to take water from a nearby stream as they attempted to battle the blaze. The problem came to light in the aftermath of the tragedy when it was brought to the attention of local councillor John Seamus O'Ferry. He revealed to the Donegal News that responding fire crews were forced to draw water from a stream which runs beside the nearby old church after discovering that the pressure from the hydrants was too low. Emergency services were first alerted to the fire shortly after 4 a.m. on Easter Monday. Fire crews from Gweedore, Dunlow, Fulcara, Glenties and Letterkenny responded quickly to the scene. So it's a tough enough job what these guys do, and to not have the resources to do it, problematic. So is that a quirk of the location of the church? Is it a wider problem? Anyone in the fire service wants to talk about that, or anyone with any information, to 086 60 25,000. Obviously, there's been a huge reaction to that fire, and I note I wasn't able to go myself. I'd love to have been able to go. There was a concert organised at short notice and in Crawley, and it seemed packed at the weekend, and people seemed in good spirits, and rightly so, because, as I say, it is devastating, but there's going to be a rebuilding project. A lot of money has been raised, and it's about hope now, and there seemed to be plenty of hope at the weekend, so fair play to Daniel and all that were involved in that concert. A stroke consultant at Altnagelvin says staff at the hospital are encountering a disturbing phenomenon in which people have suffered stroke damage even though they've never reported symptoms. This is in the Derry News. Dr. Deshpande has spoken out to raise more awareness around the burning problem, which he has labelled silent strokes. As we review brain scans in our Altnagelvin TIA clinic, we frequently encounter a disturbing phenomenon: patients with clear evidence of stroke damage who never reported symptoms. These silent strokes amount for 1 in 3 strokes in Northern Ireland, yet remain dangerously overlooked. Unlike dramatic strokes with paralysis or speech loss, silent strokes manifest as subtle memory lapses or balance issues, often dismissed as normal ageing. So not wishing to cause any alarm, just to raise awareness, and maybe we might be talking about this. People are suffering strokes, and that's coming up on brain scans, but they haven't really talked of symptoms or reported symptoms, and it's been put down to one thing rather than the stroke. And obviously, you know, if you had a stroke, you should be getting treatment for that, shouldn't you? Maybe that resonates with you. 086 60 25,000. Are you one of those people who learned that you had a stroke even though you didn't know you had a stroke? It might be interesting to sort of get your perspective on it and how it affected you, and then once you found out how it made you feel and what you did next. If you want to speak, please give us a call. 07491 25,000, or outside the Republic 00353 7491 25,000. Lots of coverage of Kneecap. They are a band, an Irish rap band or trio, and footage of Irish rap trio Kneecap allegedly calling for the death of British MPs is being assessed by counter-terrorism police. This is in the Irish Independent. Video emerged of the band at a November 2023 gig, appearing to show one person from Kneecap saying, "The only good Tory is a dead Tory. Kill your local MP." Earlier in the week, footage emerged of another gig last year in November, which seemed to show a band member shouting "Up Hamas, up Hezbollah" at a performance at the Kentish Town Forum, and a Hezbollah flag being displayed. Now, I think these are almost two separate things, in that, you know, a lot of people are picking sides as it relates to matters in the Middle East. I'm not saying what they did is right or wrong, but I mean, if they want to support Hamas, is that the same as calling for the death of MPs? It's a tough one with music, because an awful lot has been said in music. And I mean, if you listen to, I don't know, if you listen to Eminem even in his early days, or you listen to any rap music, or you listen to Public Enemy or Tupac Shakur or Biggie Smalls or any of those, I mean, often, you know, violence towards the police or elected representatives featured in some of the lyrics, violence against others. we're a smaller pond here, and I think it is going to be problematic for the band if they're calling on people to kill their local Tory MP, especially given the fact that not a Tory MP, but certainly MPs have died in on-street violence. It's a problem for them. I think they've got a platform, and I think they can use that platform. I think they've overstepped the mark here, and I don't know what they're going to do about it. They don't seem like the type of crew that are going to apologise. Well, yesterday, the Met Police spokesperson said, we were made aware of a video on April 22nd, believed to be from an event in November 24, and it has been referred to the Counter-Terrorism Internal Referral Unit for assessment and to determine whether any further police investigation may be required. Is it art? Is it the way it is? I don't know. I don't really, haven't formulated an opinion on it. What do you think? I mean, art, people have always been very expressive in art and challenging views and even saying stuff that you may not necessarily believe. But I think it could be problematic because they said the only good Tory is a dead Tory, kill your local MP. What do you think? 086 60 25,000. Big protest down in Dublin. The only coverage in it today is the public order element of it, which was small. I'm not amplifying this. It's just the only way it's been covered in the papers today. And I think there was quite a strong Donegal contingent down in Dublin. There was 3 arrests, which is minor given the amount of people that are out in the streets. But I'll read on. 3 people were arrested for public order offences during a large anti-immigration march and counter-demonstration in Dublin city centre on Saturday. I don't know from which side the arrests took place. The arrests were understood to be for minor matters, including failing to follow the direction of a guard. Despite the large numbers involved, the event passed off mostly peacefully. No major incidents of note occurred, Gardaí said. Taoiseach Micheál Martin said yesterday that he rejects the negativity of those who protested against immigration and the government in Dublin city centre on Saturday. Mr Martin, who was speaking at the annual Fianna Fáil 1916 commemoration held at Harbour Hill Cemetery in Dublin, he said, I don't accept the negativity from those who spoke yesterday in respect of where modern Ireland is today. The level of opportunity in modern Ireland is far in excess of anything previous generations experienced in terms of educational competition and so on. And they're tough ones because, you know, there are very well-intended people who are concerned about changing demographics in their local area. It's often lots of young men, they say about them being vetted. I've never been vetted, but anyway, that's by the by. Going into a particular area. There's absolutely no doubt that, say, for instance, in Letterkenny, there are more people that are fearful of going out and about. There is a sense that, you know, you hear this is what people are saying. I'm not saying it's true, but they say that, you know, there's different laws for different people, and there's a protest coming up in Letterkenny at the weekend. And the conversation often is it's not about those people that have come here legally and that are working and are part of the Irish community. It's about illegal immigration, although that's a misnomer in that if you come here and apply for asylum, you're not illegal. But anyway, there's no point getting into semantics. But that being said, then what happens is the videos emerge of people shouting at, you know, black guys who've been here for 10, 15, 20 years, shouting at them to go home. That seems to emerge. And that's... I often think, well, what would I feel like if I was a person of colour living here or working in the hospital or in the care sector or in construction or any part of society whatsoever, or as a second or third generation person from a different country living here? Because, as I say, they're framed as being anti-illegal immigration, but when you get guys and girls that have been here for, you know, most of their lives or half their lives, and people are shouting, go home, then you wonder, well, what is actually really going on? What do you think? 086 60 25,000. I don't think unions sometimes do themselves any favours, you know. I read this one initially and I didn't think it was a joke, but I thought, you know, it comes across as a joke. It's in the Irish Daily Mail. A statutory maximum working temperature is among extreme weather proposals being put forward to protect workers. A statutory maximum working temperature. Trade Union Unite is seeking a meeting with Enterprise Minister Peter Burke to discuss its proposals, which also include 4 days paid climate leave if conditions make travel hazardous or workers need to address pressing domestic needs due to extreme weather. The union says a maximum working temperature should be set regarding the type of work and the working environment. It's called for an action level of 24 Celsius where heat management control systems must be put in place and an absolute maximum temperature of 30 degrees or 27 degrees for strenuous jobs at which work should stop if these cannot be prevented by using engineering control. So are they saying that union members, the trade union Unite members, say if they've got workers on a building site, for an example, and it's over 27 degrees, that everyone downs tools? Is that the suggestion? The proposal also includes an obligation on employers to conduct risk assessment during extreme weather events, the cessation of all routine outdoor work during orange weather alerts. Orange? And I mean, can you imagine that in Donegal? I mean, we get orange weather alerts up here, and it is grand. And also the cessation of all non-essential indoor and outdoor work during red alerts, which workers continue to be paid during such closures. I don't know if you're a worker, maybe you think this is great, or if you are an employee, you probably think it's a load of nonsense. So downing tools over 27 degrees, no work on an orange, or limited work on an orange, and no work on red. So no outdoor work in an orange weather warning. I think the country could ground to a halt. This is one of those stories whereby we should feel it in our premiums, but are we going to? I don't know. A new online detection system is being credited with halving the number of uninsured drivers on the country's roads. It's emerged that the percentage of uninsured cars is down to almost 50% after the introduction of the new Irish motor insurance database. The new system allows Gardaí to instantly check whether or not a vehicle is covered by insurance. Research conducted by the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland found that private uninsured vehicles represented over 45% of overall private fleet across the country last year. That's an almost 50% reduction from when the same analysis was undertaken for 2022, when the percentage total stood at over 8%. So good news. As I say, less uninsured drivers, you would hope, though, would lead to lower premiums. We're not seeing that, according to those contacting this show anyway. The Irish Daily Mirror: the wife and brother of murderer Jozef Puska are due to go on trial today over allegedly withholding information that could have led to his prosecution. Marek Puska, 34, and his 35-year-old sibling, Lubomir, are charged with withholding information that could have led to an arrest or prosecution over the murder of Ashling Murphy. The 23-year-old school teacher was attacked and killed as she went for a jog in January 2022. The killer's wife, Lucia, who's 34, is also charged with withholding information on a date between January 12th and 27th of 2022. All three are accused of failing to disclose to a member of the Garda Síochána information that they are alleged to have known or believed might be of material assistance in the murder inquiry. They are set to appear before Judge Paul McDermott in the Central Criminal Court this morning. And all pictured there, as is Ashling, just 23 years of age. Such a wonderful young woman with her whole life in front of her and it taken away. And lastly, in the Sun this morning, swearing makes us stronger and happier, scientists have claimed. Caroline Orr must be as strong as an ox. So, cursing repeatedly in scientific tests increased hand grip and positive emotions, a study found. 52 men and women were made to repeatedly shout out a swear or neutral word for 10 seconds before performing a strength task. Common swear words included S and F, and the two most common neutral words were flat and wooden. The hand grip of those swearing was 1.4 kilograms stronger. Boffins from the University of Kiel, UK and Amsterdam found. So if you're trying to open a tin of carrots, or not a tin of carrots, but the jars of carrots, or maybe Nutella or something, just start swearing. FFFF and all that kind of stuff, and your grip will increase, I'm told, and it'll be easier for you to open. There you go. Who would have thought?
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Summer Sounds at Harvey's Point. Every Wednesday from May the 21st until June the 25th a magical evening of music, song and dance from some of Ireland's greatest stars. Gourmet dinner, the warmest of welcomes. Don't delay. Book today. harveyspoint.com or 074 972 2208. That magical evening on the shores of Loch Esk awaits.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment. All have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Irwin Expert Electrical, your trusted destination for all things home appliances, electrical and entertainment in the Northwest. With over 50 years of leading the way, we pride ourselves on offering a diverse range of products under one roof. From top brands like LG, Samsung, Cooker, Bosch, Apple and more, take advantage of our free layaway service where you can store your new items until you're ready for them. Perfect for renovations and new build projects. Visit Irwin Expert Electrical today in Letterkenny or Buncrana.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Well, the time now is just turning 22 minutes past 9. We're joined on the programme by Councillor John Seamus O'Farry. I mentioned him a little bit earlier on, and he learned that fire crews who were tackling the St Mary's Church fire in Derrybeg were struggling to source a water source, or at least an effective one. That seems to be the impression that you were given. John, good morning to you.
Martin Y. Greg, good morning to you.
Martin Y. So what was reported to you, John Seamus?
Well, there was some significant water pressure in the area and the location in Derrybeg and Minimuller. There was 2 or 3 locations they went to, and the water pressure was very low and significant. When you consider that there was 7 appliances present on the scene when the chapel got burnt down on Monday night. And this is still an ongoing issue here in the area, and it just shows the lack of investment that's happening in the area with Ashgaran. We're looking for the last number of years to have a new replacement, even though there was only 100 metres replaced in Derrybeg last year, and that was due to councillors demanding that there would be a better water supply in the area. It just shows again that, you know, the investment is not coming from Ashgaran, and probably in your own show, and many councillor that was on it, down through the last number of months and the last 2 to 3 years, it seems to have deteriorated badly in the Derrybeg area and Minimuller area, and this is well aware to Ashgaran. We are calling for a meeting with Ashgaran to discuss this, along with other issues that's in the Clynady area and Fulcara area. It seems to be the same locations all the time that are affected.
And is there any programme of works that have been committed to at this point? And how extensive do you believe the infrastructure improvements would need to be, you know, to bring it up to an acceptable standard?
There would need to be significant investment, a good few million euros. The last number of years from Derrybeg to Bunlack, people were crying all the time, but it took 4 to 5 years to get a pipe replacement there. These are pipes, Greg, that are in for the last 40 to 45 years, like asbestos piping, and they're deteriorating badly. And, you know, we need proper investment in the infrastructure. But in relation to getting back to the point that the lack of pressure in the area, when you look at, lucky enough, there was a stream just beside the site where the chapel was burning at the time. I mean, where would they get the water from then? Unless they would go to the beach or somewhere. So again, it's totally unacceptable at this day and age that, you know, we're not getting the proper investment from Ashgaran and the areas that I already mentioned.
Yeah, and the problem is it's firefighters in the moment being able to do their work safely, you know, to have sufficient water. On this occasion, it turned out it was an empty building. And I'm not trying to catastrophize either, don't get me wrong, but I mean, in when seconds count, and if this was a residential setting or something, a hotel, God knows what it could be, you really need adequate water to do your job effectively, but also safely.
You do really need it, and I'd like to find out who is checking these on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, or when these inspections are carried out. Like you mentioned, it could have been a hotel. Yeah, we have a lot of accommodation in Gweedore, and if there was a huge fire, I mean, if this issue keeps going, we're going to be in serious problem. And again, looking down through the years, and it seems to be the same areas all the time. And I like to commend at this stage the fire services that were on the scene that night. Absolutely, they were fantastic. But unfortunately, I was driving through this morning, and the site has been, well, it was demolished over the weekend, but the cleaning up operation has begun now, and it's a very sad sight, that the church in St Mary's has gone in Derrybeg.
Yeah, indeed. But the road reopened yesterday as well, by the way, just for those who might be travelling in the area. Okay, we'll see what comes of it. Councillor John Seamus O'Ferry, thank you very much indeed for your time. 086 60 25,000. A caller says, can it be clarified what all the fundraising is for? The church in Derrybeg, is this not what insurance is for? Where will the money go when the insurance money comes in? Will this fundraising also not hurt the insurance payout? It's not to be negative, it's just a question. I mean, I understand where the question is coming from. I'm sure the building was insured. I'm not sure how it works in relation to maybe insuring something that could be deemed to be somewhat, not priceless as such, but of great sentimental value. And it was made quite clear, I think, from even Daniel O'Donnell, who's not the local parish priest or involved in the rebuilding process, that whatever money is raised will be spent in the community. And that building was built an awful long time ago. And it's not about just your insurance is to return your building or your house to what it was before the fire, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't change the design, you can't provide community facilities that are there, you can't enhance that, and from a negative situation, that's where the positivity comes. So I'm not sure the insurance would have fully covered the rebuild back to exactly the way it was before the fire, but certainly any additional funds, I presume, will be there to enhance the services that are already there. The rebuilding of a church, but also maybe the provision of community facilities. And I think people donating, for the most part, are going in with their eyes wide open in relation to that. A caller says, Letterkenny University Hospital needs to build accommodation for the doctors. This is why doctors aren't coming. There's nowhere for them to live, and there's no public travel for them to get to the hospital. I wonder, is that part of it, or a big element of it? Hi, Greg. Great show on Friday as usual. Thank you. I've been attending Galway University Hospital. It's a long journey down. The facilities down there are amazing, though. Letterkenny should be a hub for us to at least upgrade it, says a listener. There was another protest outside Letterkenny at the weekend. Letterkenny University Hospital. Rosina, who was on with us earlier in the week, was on plugging it. It's been covered extensively on this show, on this radio station. I know the newspapers and news websites have been covering it extensively, and social media has been used to try and get the message out there. But again, it has to be said, and this is not for me trying to whip up people to protest. That's not my role. The turnout was, it was committed and it was strong, but it was, in terms of numbers, poor. And it would make you wonder, if I were a decision maker, if I were in Galway, and I was listening to all this media coverage about hospital services, and I was thinking, my word, do I need to do something about that? I'll see how the protest goes at the weekend. And then I see that a couple of dozen people seem motivated enough to go out. I would go, well, you know what? It must be okay. So we're not going to worry about it. We'll ignore Rosina. We'll ignore Highland. We'll ignore the Donegal News, the Democrat, the Donegal Daily, Facebook, wherever it might be, because, clearly people aren't that bothered to go out and protest. So I'm not judging anyone who didn't. I know what it's like at the weekend. People are busy. There's a lot going on. There's birthday parties or sporting events or whatever. But still, if you're the head of Cialta, if you're down the country looking on, you might think that it mustn't be that big a deal if that's all the people that they could muster. And that's no disrespect to those who did turn up. And it's certainly no disrespect to those who were too busy to turn up. It's just an observation, and I wonder if you've a view on that. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. I'll chat to you again in just a couple of moments.
Get your home and garden summer ready with Watson Hire in Letterkenny. From lawnmowers to strimmers and compost to lawnmowers, they have everything you need to tidy, clean and green your space. If you're painting, inside or out, choose the best value paint in Donegal from top names like Fleetwood and Johnson's. Watson Hire, open 6 days a week at Lisnen and Letterkenny, with great deals to have your home and garden looking their best. See watsonhire.ie.
Teachrad a chóirle condaigh gúna ngáil. Is míle chóirle condaigh gúna ngáil a chur a gabhne a ghaoine. Bhil dul go sáirin i leighlín a cheintú. Bhil mu de caiithúile ar náhar dráhuile agus broscar ar gáid, nach neanan dothar don timpalacht. Is féidir le dráhuile agus broscar atá caite ar an talú sin a bheiliú, cuasaí isce a chhrúilú, chuir le líon na láthaga baga agus móra, plán daoine uthasa a scapú, chur isteach ar chláinte na naoine, agus is smáil grána ar aileach na tuaithe. Tá dumpal agus dó dráhuile agus broscar mílethe. Dia tú féinile a bheith gearra ar cheantarí agus iad tucha a scór na cuairte. I gas na áirithe is cin tú carúil a fés mar harthú ar an iompar súra seo. Mar sin tá dúilgus áirinne lig agus le chéile, higlainn, dúna ngáil a chuineal gláán, slán agus galanta.
At Fleming's, we take great pride in having provided quality steel and roofing to all our customers throughout Ireland since 1860.
Tell them about the doors, John.
Okay, Mike. We also provide a full quality range of
doors, industrial doors, garage doors, roller doors, insulated doors.
Thanks for that, Mike.
No dramas, mate.
Fleming's, engineering solutions for 150 years. Call us now on 074 91 48 234.
Ahead of the busy summer season, why not have your children's eyes checked at Louis Walsh Opticians in Letterkenny? Right now, when you buy one pair of children's glasses, you'll get a second pair free. Some terms and conditions apply. See the full range of glasses at Louis Walsh Opticians in the Courtyard Shopping Centre, Letterkenny.
Okay, joined on the programme now by Conor Doherty, content creator, primarily on TikTok, is it, Conor?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Good morning. So what kind of stuff do you do?
Just kind of like, I do a lot of like food reviews and kind of a lot of mental health based stuff and kind of life stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, I'm doing quite a lot of food reviews about dairy.
And what's the traction like? People like your stuff?
Pretty all right. I'm nearly at 20,000 followers at the moment on TikTok, and it's been a fun wee journey.
And is it a job or is it just a passion or just something, a bit of a side hustle?
At the minute, it's definitely just more of a passion, to be honest. There is ways to make careers out of it, but again, you can never really trust the way social media is going to go. All it takes is an algorithm change and everything
goes up in the air, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, one thing you have been commenting on, though, is negativity on your work. What have you observed?
To be honest, anytime you post something online, there's always going to be something negative said about it, regardless of whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on like YouTube, on TikTok, be it someone talking about you in real life. I get a lot of hate comments based on my sexuality, for one. I get a lot of people commenting on how I look, all that kind of stuff, and it's getting a lot more common in the past couple of months, to be honest, than it has the past 5 years of it.
And why do you think you're being focused on like this? I mean, I'd say I don't think it's unique to you. I think it is just an online thing, right? But I mean, is it the more popular you get or the more likes or views that you get, that seems to attract more of this negative personal attention? They're not saying I ate in that restaurant and the food was terrible, you're an idiot. They're focusing on your appearance, your sexuality. It's very personal based. Interaction.
I think the thing with posting online as well is that people think that because their account doesn't have a picture of them or isn't linked to them, that they can say whatever they want. And that because you've posted something online, everybody's entitled to their own opinion of you. I believe everyone's entitled to their own opinion of your content, but of you, it's a kind of different thing. I've noticed a lot of different creators in dairy getting a lot of different stuff said about them or to them lately. there's been a few gay content creators that I would follow from the town as well, and they are having absolute hate trains thrown on them every couple of days just because of their sexuality.
I would say the majority of that is from, anonymous trolls, so to speak. But I've been doing a little bit of I've been down a little bit of rabbit hole lately of content creators trying to take each other down. And it seems to be a particular problem in Britain, where you get clout by effectively, being incredibly critical or inciting hatred against other people. And that becomes your thing, right? So you start to get more traction and more money because you focus on a content creator. Like it seems to be not murky, that sounds really, but it seems to be just a very bitchy sort of space.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's probably more so in England, to be honest, than over here. But the good thing about Derry is there's a lot of people that are focusing on making content that are so supportive of each other.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, there's a girl I follow called Alana, and she follows me as well, and we would like each other's stuff, comment on each other's stuff. She has a lot of followers as well, and I was walking through the town the other day, and I just seen this woman waving at me, and she came up and hugged me, and it was Alana herself.
Oh, lovely.
And it was a very positive experience, but I know that it's not she was getting a lot of hate lately, and she's currently posting every single day to try to raise money for Foiled Women's Aid.
Mm-hmm.
So she's doing a massive push at the minute to try and raise any money she can for the sake of women in the town, and she's just getting so much hate for it, which I just don't understand, and it's all personal attacks.
3-4 years ago, this was all very different. There was far more protections in place, reporting systems, people getting banned. The online now is a bit of a free-for-all. Obviously, the likes of Meta and X have sort of relaxed their content. And to be honest with you, to keep up, I think, the likes of YouTube, TikTok have also taken their foot off the gas a little bit in terms of protecting users.
Definitely. I've been, as I said, I've got a lot of, my message requests are awful. Some of the messages that be sent to me are absolutely atrocious, but every time I go in to report them, nothing happens with it. I'm very open about my struggle with anorexia throughout my TikTok content as well. And now I'm very, very gladly in recovery. I'm going about Derry, trying to find the best places to eat and having a really positive journey throughout that. But I still get comments on my weight, how I look, all those kind of things along with it as well. And if you report them, nothing happens.
Where do you think this is coming from? Are there just nasty people in any part of the world that stumble across a video and have to say something negative? Or, you talked about, I wouldn't know, A, your sexuality, or B, your issues, you're with anorexia by talking to you like this, right? So I'd have to either be watching your content or know you to sort of start making those personal remarks about you. So where do you believe this negativity is emanating from?
Do you know what? It's that kind of culture of seeing someone doing well for themselves, I think, personally.
So you mean it's local then, potentially?
A lot of the people commenting are commenting with local slang. Not just local to Derry, but local to the north.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not getting a pile of Americans commenting on my videos saying things about me. I'm getting people from the north commenting on my videos. And I know that it's not just me as well. It just seems that people don't want. I think that if I had 3 million followers on TikTok, it would be a different story for people in the town. I think it will be a case that everyone will be oh, look, they're doing so well for themselves. Oh, I know them and all that crack. Whereas when you're kind of in that in between of not having no followers, but not having a massive amount, that it's a very blurred space.
Well, we know with the likes of, Xbox, PlayStation, Roblox, things like that there, we know that the companies themselves can actually filter out, they can filter out language and what have you. And with AI, actually, it's even improved greater. But that being said, we're at a point now, I don't know when it's going to change, we're going to see actually less regulation of the online space, not more. And actually calling for more regulation actually is almost, I believe, to be a waste of time. Yeah. So what do? Do you grin and bear it and just highlight it and hope that it changes people's attitudes? I mean, I suppose you let them win if you stop posting your content. How do you? Oh, and then as well too, it all is down to us as individuals as to how much of that can be taken. Because I know myself, even in what I do, and I'm not sort of far left, far right, whatever. We cover everything on this show, right? But still, a lot of the criticism is very personal. You get a sense that people who are saying this stuff about you don't know you and don't understand you or where you come from, or in fact what you do. But you have to bear it, right? But not everyone can. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm gonna bear it out. I enjoy posting online. I enjoy sharing my experiences in places or sharing my life experiences with other people, and there are people who enjoy seeing what I post. I'm not going to let someone who has something nasty to say about me impact what I want to do in my life and what I want to do and what I want to post online. I think that it can be really hard at times, like hearing some of the things or reading some of the things that are said about you. 9 times out of 10, I just don't check my comments anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing because, as I say, I've been looking into this a little bit and it seems to be some people's online experience is being critical, hurtful, or even trying to be funny in their hurt, commenting on TikTok videos and what else. Okay, well, listen, hopefully you do blow up to 3 million, Connor, we'll see, and hopefully you don't get as much any abuse. Why should anyone get abuse? Connor Doherty, thank you very much indeed for your time. Take care.
Thank you so much.
You can check him out on socials if you wish, if you're interested in eating around Derry and what have you. Hi, Greg. No coincidence that kneecap are being targeted after expressing support for Palestine in the United States. Yeah, well, this is also part of a bit of the old cancel culture side of things. They want to cancel kneecap. That's just the bottom line. And it's regular people who have trawled through videos of kneecap to find something. I've no doubt you're right. But that being said, they're in bother, in not necessarily legal bother, but they're certainly in bother in trying to win people around by saying, people should be, elected politicians should be killed. You know yourself. Right. Letterkenny University Hospital. I remember hospital protests over 40 years ago displayed banners, live in Donegal and die in Sligo, referring to services in Letterkenny back then. Appears Letterkenny never got proper funding well before the present day push for privatisation of health. Letterkenny Memories, I've been asked to mention just before the break. Letterkenny Memories is being held in the Station House tonight at 8 p.m. Light refreshments served afterwards. That's supposed to be quite a fun evening, by the way. If you haven't gone to that before, get along. And just if you're out on the roads, I've been told that diesel has been spilled on the Bonamy Road going up Letter League. It's very slippy, so be careful if you're in that area.
Doherty SuperValue Carndonna brings you weekly €10 off €40 vouchers. Save big on trusted SuperValue products and enjoy exclusive real rewards. Your best value shop with unbeatable prices and friendly faces is waiting. Local value that truly adds up. Doherty SuperValue Carndonna.
Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny, award-winning travel experts. Sail the Sicilian coastline, dive the Maldives, tour Riacan and Tuscan vineyards, stroll the shores of Lake Garda or the streets of Santorini. Indulge the senses, savor new flavors, embrace warm welcomes, smiling faces and balmy sunsets. Escape with atlantictravel.ie. Book today.
Love the skin you're in at Brennan's Pharmacy Letterkenny, where we can advise you on the perfect skincare routine with top French brands like Caudalie and La Roche-Posay, or great Irish skincare from Pestle and Mortar and Upcircle. Easy free parking across from Costa at the new Dunn stores. That's expert skincare at Brennan's Pharmacy Letterkenny. We're here for you.
Tom Duffy's Circus is now back in Letterkenny at the Kiltoy Roundabout. The same great location with a new show, new surprises, the Globe of Death and the same unforgettable magic. Don't be confused. The only place you'll see Ireland's favourite circus this weekend is at the Kiltoy Roundabout. Last year's show sold out. Must finish Monday. Don't miss out. Book now at duffycircus.com.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
All right, a quick glance out the window will let you know that it's quite cloudy to begin with today across the northwest of Ireland, with any remaining patchy rain and drizzle clearing by early afternoon. Dry then for the rest of the day, with spells of hazy sunshine gradually breaking through as the day goes on. Temperatures 15 to 18 degrees, light to moderate south to southeast breezes will be fresh at times along the coast. And we're going to see very little rain, it seems, over the next few days. A caller says, if you put yourself out there, you're guaranteed to get hate. The online world is 10 times worse than the real world. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg only care about money. They don't care about people's feelings. Of course they do. Billionaires generally don't care about anyone else's about anyone's feelings but themselves. Greg, Saturday's march in Dublin was the people of Ireland rising up against the government, not a racist demonstration. There was a counter-protest who screamed racism at us and told us to kill ourselves whilst giving us the fingers. All this to a peaceful crowd of adults and children. Above are the reasons I marched. Indeed, and that's right. Kathleen, thank you for that. Is Kathleen speaking to us as to why she went down? No, doesn't want to. Yeah, I'm not trying to ostracize or criticize anyone. There is, as I say, a protest in Letterkenny on, don't want to say the date because I don't know, and there's a counter protest as well, as far as I understand. So there's one that is framed as being against illegal immigration, and then there's going to be one that I presume is going to frame those protesters as not being right or racist or whatever the terminology might be. Don't really like covering it because whichever way I go at it, I'm the one gets in bother. And I'm the bad guy, even though you try and give everyone a platform. But anyway, we will, because that's just the way it is. Any news on the trial of 3 kids and Cara stabbed in Dalby? Nay, don't think so. That he's in prison. He's charged with their stabbing, and that court case will be upcoming. We, of course, can't talk about anything like that because I presume anything about that, because I presume you wouldn't want me to say something like blah, 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 blah. And then, believe it or not, it could be used in his defence to suggest that he can't get a fair trial and thus gets off. So it's the same with any crime. Once someone has been charged, there is no word of the accused or implying that he could be guilty or not guilty, because that could complicate that trial. And I presume you want justice for the carer and the children, and mention it at this point, pending the trial, would be problematic. Typical Micheál Martin, the people weren't marching against immigration, they were marching about illegal immigration and the way the government is handling the issue. There were well over 20,000 at that protest compared to the handful of pro-communists, including Sinn Féin, who counter-protested. I'm wondering why the Ulster final is being held on Saturday. I know some supporters that have communions and weddings on Saturday, so they won't be able to attend. But I suppose then there's going to be a lot of supporters that would have something on Sunday as well. And then if it had been in Croke Park, twice as many people could have gone. But then it wouldn't be the Ulster final in Clonus, would it? I really don't think they can win. I don't think you're going to schedule an event where 30,000 odd people are going and it's going to please everybody. I think the problem is going to be getting tickets, because Armagh love an Ulster final, and of course they'll want a lot of tickets, as will Donegal. So I think the problem is not going to be when and where, it's going to be how you get your tickets. What a weekend of sport, by the way. Meath yesterday upsetting Dublin. That's the first time Dublin have lost in their province since 2010. Can you imagine? Meath, really good value for their victory. Donegal, what do you think about their performance, and can they lift it up against Armagh? There was a massive crossover boxing match on Saturday night, Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. I'm sure many of you sat and watched the first fight between their dads in Birmingham, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr. Steve Collins was there as well. Great to see Steve Collins, a fantastic Irish sports person who I don't think gets the credit he deserved. He was part of that. He made all of that scene at that time. What else happened at the weekend? There was a lot of sport on. Liverpool, they won the Premiership. I think they were 1-0 down for time and ended up romping home. So we'd love talking about sport in the show as well. So if you want to reflect on any of the sport, GEA, soccer, boxing for that matter, please get in touch. 086 60 25,000. We would be more than happy to discuss your views on that stuff as well. Right, let's go to Councillor Michael McClafferty, who's on line 1. Hi, Michael. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, listeners.
Right, okay. Now, what did you spot in Dunfanaghy?
Just basically yesterday, Greg, what happened yesterday, a dog found on the footpath there outside premises there, business premises. You literally outside the doors, and my dad as well, just literally as well, less than 2 feet away from a rubbish bin. Now, obviously the point is here, this can be very dangerous for small children, or people walking into it, bringing it into the business premises in, 13 floors and so on. But my main point, as I was saying there to Donna Marie about, is the danger of the toxicarious disease that dogs can carry in their stools. And then, unfortunately, if a small child then happens to come in contact with us in the footpath or play park or whatever, or otherwise, or maybe off the wheel off their buggy, for example, and goes near the face, goes near their eyes, then it can cause permanent blindness. And just basically the point of it, highlighting it is, Greg, as always, is to ask dog owners, if you're out walking your dog or wherever, let it be in the footpath, let it be in the street, the beach, the town park, wherever, where really it's not a great place for them, the parks. But anyway, if they're there, at least clean up after your dogs. Like, as I
presume we're not talking about just, I mean, obviously you're focusing on one poo. It's more, there's obviously a greater problem than this one instance for you to be raising the issue.
Greg.
But why aren't we enforcing, dog fouling laws more? Why don't we have a concerted campaign, whereby, I mean, of course the council can't have, 25 dog wardens on duty all the time, but can we not have a situation whereby there's we go in for periods of time over, 2 weeks, whereby staff are redeployed. We go in and, if we start seeing some enforcement, some fines, some publicity, the message gets across, because this is just the same conversation over and over again. And it's an important one, Michael, but why not have a blitz? Why not have a blitz on dog poo whereby staff are brought in and a few fines are bandied about? Get that out to the public and maybe try and change behaviour that way.
Yeah, Greg, I agree totally with you. And listen, something's going to have to be done. I have mentioned this several times to the council. At the moment, we have no avail of such, obviously down to staffing and everything else, but they're going to have to get the necessary staff for this. They're going to have to do, like you say, do a blitz, get the necessary enforcement, get uniformed people into their towns, villages, over the various days and whatnot, and this kind of stuff, and just target those that are flouting the laws and so on, that don't care about the public, don't care about the children walking about, just totally ignorant to what's going on here when the dog's fouling and walk on then again and just leave it there. It's not on, like. But I agree with you. The only way we're going to really manage and master this is definitely going forward is to get enforcement on it. I agree with that. Yes, you are right.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not that long away now, June 1st, whereby, say, for instance, restriction on dogs on blue flag beaches come into effect. That runs from the 1st of September to the 1st of June to the September 15th. And I know in June and July, and as soon as the weather's good, the texts and the calls are going to start coming in again, because that's another area of dog control that won't be enforced, with the best will in the world. And I don't think anyone can actually tell me who would enforce such a law on a blue flag beach. Antashka aren't going to do it, or the council or the guards, you know what I mean? But it's just a problem that is all of the time, particularly when the weather's good, and nothing seems to be done about enforcement. And the public probably are getting frustrated even listening about it at this stage.
They probably are, to be fair, Greg, and rightly so. But I think as well, for the other members of the public that are listening as well, out with their dogs or dog offenders, look, there's a big responsibility in them as well.
Nah, there's no point talking. There's no point talking to them. And I don't mean this any disrespect to you. There's no point talking to the minority of dog owners that don't care, because they don't care, and they're listening to this, and they're probably chucking the rubbish out of the window as well too. Heading over past Errigal, because they don't want to put their takeaway stuff in their bin, in their own bin. Do you know what I mean? And they don't care. So we're not going to get through to them by appealing to their good nature, Michael. It's only going to be and it is the minority of dog owners that are making life difficult for good dog owners. The only way is to catch them and punish them. That because the other way is not working.
No, I agree with you. Yes, of course, it's not 100%. It's not your right, Greg. But I think for ourselves going forward, myself, all my colleagues in the county council, we're going to have to push harder here and get some sort of enforcement in place and some sort of possibly meaningful penalty that's going to put people. A few people get caught, there's going to be others then think twice. No, we don't want to get caught either. That's the only thing that's going to happen.
Okay.
That needs to happen.
We shall see. All right, then, take care of yourself. Councillor Michael McClafferty here, and it's not just a, where was that Dunfanaghy issue? In Dukery, we have similar issues. Dog mess on the green area used by village children and along footpaths and river walks. Absolutely disgusting. Getting it on your shoes. The wheels of a pram, a buggy, a wheelchair user, a walking stick. We've the same problem in Creasla. Absolutely no respect for anyone. And another saying that it's people visiting the area that don't care. And that's just simply not good enough. Your views on that. What should we do? What would you like to see done? Right, let's have the people's court here. You know, we are the people of the Northwest here. Lots of you are going to text in and highlight the issue in your area, and we love that, right? But also tell us, you know, what could or should be done. What would you like to see done? What would you like Donegal County Council to do? And we'll come up with a consensus and see where we go from there. Greg, did you go to the protest? And also Reed Chapel in Derrybeg. Did I go to the protest? No, I didn't go to the protest, and I said I couldn't simply go to the protest because it wouldn't be a suitable place to bring a 4-year-old. I said very clearly, I know people get a wee bit edgy on this, I said that there are people who couldn't go. I'd be amongst them. I couldn't have gone there because I couldn't bring Hudson to a protest. And I also didn't criticise those that didn't go. And also really, in my position, it might be quite difficult for me to be seen at things like that there because people could be judging that I'm taking a side. But that wasn't the point. I simply couldn't. Reed Chapel in Derrybeg, a lot of other parishioners in this county have to raise funds themselves to get their chapel finished. Dromahal Parish, all chapels, churches are lovely, but it's the people that keep them. Of course it is. The church infrastructure is built on the backs of people. Regarding the cancer protest outside the hospital on Saturday, it must only be Inishowen people that are affected by cancer, as there was very little from outside Inishowen there. And I think that was kind of the way it was at the previous one as well. Well, the people protesting against the migrants have a problem with Irish people living illegally in America. We like to give out about illegal immigration, but we've a high number of illegal migrants in the USA. The migrants in Ireland are what's keeping the country going. But you're conflating. It's like a lot of, I think the majority of people in Ireland are working illegally. You know, they're not living there in accommodation provided by the state. They're not living there on money provided by the state. They are not being placed in congregated areas reliant on supports, right? And then migrants and illegal migrants are two different things in this country too. It's very complicated, but I don't think an awful lot of people would get the analogy that you put across there, but some might. 086 60 25,000.
The days are getting longer, the sun is making an appearance, and that means barbecue season is just around the corner. At Maple stores across the county, we've got you covered with quality charcoal, fresh meats, and all your sunny day essentials. Pick up something refreshing to toast in the sunshine, treat the kids or yourself to some delicious whipped ice cream, and don't forget your favourite Maple coffee. Follow your local Maple store on Facebook for weekly offers, and remember, we also sell fuel too. Maple stores, fresh, convenient, local.
FBD doesn't stand for Friendly Business Ducks or for Freelance Beatbox Department. FBD stands for support. We support businesses and communities across Ireland. Visit your local branch to talk to your FBD insurance team and see how we can support your business. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Do you sometimes struggle to hear? It could just be earwax and it's easily treated. Hidden Hearing right now are offering free earwax removal for everyone over 60, carried out by our qualified earwax technicians. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie. Hidden Hearing, your hearing is our expertise. T's and C's apply.
Do you know someone who's a real-life superhero in your community? Highland Radio's Community Hero campaign is here to honour those incredible people who go above and beyond to help others. Nominate someone special today and they could win €1,000 as a thank you for all they do. Just email their name, address and the reason you're nominating them and your contact details to hero@highlandradio.com. Entries close on the 5th of May 2025. Let's give your local hero the recognition they truly deserve. Visit highlandradio.com for more information.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. It has emerged that firefighters had to use water from a nearby stream to battle the blaze that engulfed St Mary's Church in Derrybeg last week. It was due to low water pressure at a number of nearby fire hydrants. Councillor John Hamish O'Farry says he was told this in recent days. He says it again highlights the need for investment in the county from Uisce Éireann.
There was 2 or 3 locations they went to, and the water pressure was very low and significant. When you consider that there was 7 appliances present on the scene when the chapel got burnt down on Monday night, and this is still an ongoing issue here in the area, and it just shows the lack of investment that's happening in the area with Uisce Éireann.
The man who passed away following a medical emergency on Mount Errigal on Saturday has been named as Carl Henderson of Fern Valley Close, Moira Armagh. Donegal Mountain Rescue and the Coast Guard Rescue 118 helicopter were called to the scene along with the critical care doctor. Funeral arrangements are yet to be confirmed. The Garda Commissioner has reacted to not being invited to the annual GRA conference this week. Drew Harris has released a statement outlining what he would have said in his address to delegates if he were invited to the 2-day event in Killarney. The Commissioner says Garda management has been put in a place in a range of additional measures to support members, including the rollout of body cams, mobile phones and additional equipment for emergency response unit and armed support units. He also says the Garda fleet is now the largest it's ever been and highlighted the changes to sentencing for people who assault Gardaí. The Garda Representative Association says it has no confidence in him as Commissioner, adding that the current operating policing model is not working. Donegal accounts for the highest number of applications made for grants to refurbish vacant properties. Nationally, over €112 million has been paid out, seeing over 2,000 homes brought back into residential use. In Donegal, 1,114 applications have been made, and of those, 811 have been approved. Berlin is urging Ukraine not to accept Donald Trump's latest peace proposal, comparing it to capitulation. The US president is proposing Kyiv give up territory in return for a ceasefire with Russia. This week is seen as critical for the countries to broker a deal, with the White House saying it's prepared to walk away if there's no progress. Former US Ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul, says he's not sure how things will pan out.
It's only been 100 days. That's not a long time in terms of hard negotiations. But again, I'm not so sure the United States right now, the Trump administration, is actually mediating an end to this war. It oftentimes seems like they're acting as an agent for Vladimir Putin.
The Supreme Court will sit in Letterkenny Courthouse today, marking the first sitting of the Supreme Court in the Northwest. It's the 5th time the court will sit outside of Dublin. The court will hear the case of Imran versus Minister for Justice, which concerns an issue of public importance in relation to the requirement for a proportionality assessment in a decision to revoke permanent residency. A 30-year-old man has been charged with multiple counts of murder after Saturday's car ramming in Vancouver, which killed 11 people, including a 5-year-old child. Investigators say Kai G. Adam Lowe, who's from the Canadian city, has a history of mental health issues. Crowds were attending a festival to honour a national hero of the Philippines. Dancer Rachel Ambrosio performed at the event, but left just before the attack happened.
It's really hard to process things right now. We don't ever expect these things to happen to us. It's brought our community together and given us another reason to be stronger and resilient in the wake of this tragedy.
The Vatican's Sistine Chapel has been closed to the public to allow for the election of the next pope, known as the conclave. The process will start once the 9-day mourning period for the late pontiff ends. Preparations include installing the chimney, where white smoke will rise when his successor is chosen. Looking now to weather, quite cloudy this morning. Any remaining patchy rain and drizzle will clear by early afternoon. Then it will be dry for the rest of the day with spells of hazy sunshine gradually breaking through as the day goes on. That's with highest temperatures of 15 to 18 degrees. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back again with headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Monday morning, April 28th. The death has taken place of Betty Stewart, Moira Fulcara. There's no wake. Viewing will take place at the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountaintop Letterkenny today from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m, followed by removal to the Holy Trinity Church, Hornhead Road, Dunfanaghy for 8 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral service in the Holy Trinity Church tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. Burial afterwards in Ballymore Graveyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Iris O'Donnell Nursing Home, Patient Comfort Fund, care of any family member or James Harkin Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Manus Elliott Duhery. Manus's remains are reposing at his home in Duhery. The house will be strictly private today until 1 o'clock. Open from 1 p.m. until 8 p.m. with rosary at 8 o'clock. Funeral Mass will take place tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. in St Connell's Church, Duhery. Interment afterwards in the new cemetery. The death has taken place of Rebecca Ruby Moore, ní Hastings, Legna Thra, Monrea, Carrigans. Remains are reposing at her late residence with house strictly private to family only. All are welcome to attend Ruby's service of thanksgiving. A service of thanksgiving will take place today for the life of Ruby at 2 o'clock in Monrea Presbyterian Church with burial afterwards in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only. The death has taken place of Joe Lynch, Kildare Muff. Removal from his residence today at 12 noon, going to St Patrick's Church, Ishkaheen Muff for Requiem Mass at 12:30 with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. House private to family and friends only at the request of the deceased. The death has occurred of Khalees McGuigan, 45 Windmill View, Letterkenny. Khalees is reposing at her late residence. Mass of the Angels will take place in St Eudin's Cathedral, Letterkenny at 11 o'clock this morning. With burial afterwards in Conwall Cemetery. Family time before the funeral, please. Family flowers only with donations in lieu if desired to the Laura Lynn Hospice, care of any family member or Con McDade Funeral Directors. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. Jenny loves spring. Sun on her face and a crisp cold specially selected kombucha from Aldi in her hand. It's picnic time. Uh-oh, wasps. Usually she'd freak out, but all the specially selected olives, relish and Gortnamona Irish goat's cheese have her feeling so at one with nature. She's thinking maybe wasps are just misunderstood. Now nothing can stop her enjoying picnic season. Not even that. Good food, good mood from Aldi.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
Welcome back to the programme. Ring the Litter Warden. They deal with dog fouling and can issue fines. Do they be about? Are they on call at the weekend, I wonder? In Portrush Beach, no dogs and it's enforced and it's great. Also, toilets spotless. I've seen zero enforcement or in fact very little recognition of the control of dogs in public on beaches and certainly plenty of dogs on the blue flag beaches I'd be on in the summer, last summer anyway, so let's see what happens after June 1st. There's an issue in Dunfanaghy of people parking on double yellow lines. Laws are not laws unless we actually reprimand them. People need to be fined for parking and dog fouling. All right, okay. Morning, Greg. This wannabe pop group Kneecap not only are anti-Semitic, but received 14,000 arts fund from the UK government that Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch tried to block last year. They had their working visas revoked from the US, and show celebrities like Sharon Osbourne are condemning them. Well, Sharon Osbourne would be pro-Israel, so that doesn't surprise me. Has this cult never heard of Sir David Amos or Joe Cox on what happened to them? That comes in from Sean in Edinburgh. Thanks, Sean. I mean, they are reasonably successful. I don't think they want to be a pop group. I take your point. They took a stand or a stance as it relates to what's happening in the Middle East. People will agree and disagree with that. I think they have a serious problem in calling for MPs to be killed, and you've quite rightly pointed out David Amos and Joe Cox, who were killed. Hi, Greg. I read in the Sunday Independent 2 weeks ago that the new air sea rescue helicopter managed by Bristow will not be able to carry patients on stretchers. We are an island nation, and many people that may fall out on walks, that live offshore, etc., need to be transported on a stretcher. How can this have been missed in the procurement process? I'll have to dig into that. I know there have been problems in terms of training and what have you. So I'm not sure if that report suggests they can't carry stretchers because of training, or is it because of the size of the helicopter? I'll dig into that a little bit more and see what we can find out. Hi Highland, I'm a local woman living in Letterkenny. I'm very worried about the type of people this anti-immigration march on Saturday is going to bring to the town. I've seen very aggressive racist commentary online. I haven't forgotten how similar people looted and raged across Dublin last year. What if they do that in Letterkenny? I don't anticipate that, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously it's a bank holiday weekend. I don't know what the views of the business community is in relation to both protests taking place, whether you're anti-immigration or pro-immigration or whatever the stance they're taking. I don't think you have to worry about any violence or aggression personally from those in attendance. I don't know. I'm not vouching for them, but I just don't anticipate it happening. I and many other women and children will not feel safe in our own town this weekend. I also feel very sorry for any people of colour living in Letterkenny this weekend and how fearful they must feel. But I don't know, really. You know, sometimes I presume to know what the attitude is of people from other countries that are settled here, or, you know, second, third generation children of those that are settled here. Maybe they don't feel targeted by these protests. You know, I actually sometimes presume that they might feel uncomfortable with them. I can't really speak to that. So, I mean, if there's any representative organisations of those individuals, or indeed if you're listening yourself, get in touch with us. 08660 25,000. I shouldn't presume. Not that I have, but I mean in terms of any commentary. If the Ukrainians are getting 16 million a year, how can they not pay their car tax or NCT? We all have to pay it, and we're working. The 16, I think it's 14 million, is it? 14 million euros been paid so far, paying state pensions to Ukrainians living here. That's the story. And also there is another story, and I'm not sure what the crossover is that if they apply and they have temporary protection, Ukrainian people can drive their cars here on Ukrainian plates without car tax or without an NCT. So, as I say, I'm not sure the crossover between those two issues. Hi, Greg. This is a picture of Millbridge in Buncrana. I'll throw it up here to have a look. This is a picture of Millbridge in Buncrana that the council have one lane closed. The Garda have been here on many occasions this last month with cars meeting in the middle of it. This is a serious collision waiting to happen. The bridge has been probably hundreds of years to car, no problem passing on it, but the council have decided to make it a death trap now, right? So I'm looking at the image of it. I presume they're looking, and correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it looks like they're trying to accommodate pedestrians. I'm sure we've spoken to people in the past who have to use that bridge to access the town, and with buggies and cars. There were two cars. I'm sure it's the same bridge. They're under severe threat there. There's a similar bridge laid out like that in Calais. I think if it's well signposted and people know the crack, is it okay? I don't know. You live there. But it looks like they're accommodating a footpath there, and I can see the logic in it. But anyway, I'm only looking at a picture that you sent in, and people watching the show have done so as well. Hi, Greg. Just a wee message of thanks to the staff of Jackson's Hotel in Balwafay. We stayed there last Thursday night, and it was amazing. When booking, we mentioned that our child Ben has autism, and they made us aware that they would leave sensory toys in our room. This made our stay so much more fun. Ben was able to regulate himself and enjoy his stay. The staff were simply amazing and so kind. Here's hoping it's a new venture and all hotels in Donegal and further afield do the same. Many thanks, Ben's mammy, Katrina. Well, Katrina, I hope you had a great time. And Jackson's always looking to the future. We've got fantastic hotels here. You know, I think sometimes it's just to be heard and understood. That was your experience and your stay was great. And we were talking about this more generally speaking about the hotel sector only last week or the week before. And there's lots and lots of families who would hear stories like that and say, right, okay, we should go there. You know, so it's good business for hotels too, but I'm sure Jackson's are doing it because they understand and want to make the guest's life as enjoyable as possible. James Johnson, happy birthday from your wife and family in Knocknamona Park. Amy Johnson, also happy birthday from Granny and Grandad. 2 birthdays, I presume, in the Johnsons family. James and Amy, have wonderful days. Lots of love from all of your family and all of us here at Highland Radio.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, April 28th. Playing on a green sheet. Reference number is S6. It's week 18. Today's numbers are 69, 4, 19, 11, 44, 3, 60, 39, 18, and 89. Phone your claim to 910-4833 before midnight tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
On Cloud Trainers' new collection at Brian McCormick Sports. Cloud Monster 2 from Max Cushioning and Max Energy Return. Cloud Runner 2 with Cloud Tech cushioning to absorb impact. Enjoy this supportive feel-good running shoe. On Cloud Trainers for all-day activity with comfort and versatility. Look the part, play the part. In-store and online. Click on bmcsports.ie.
Are you looking for a powerful, high-performance laptop? Think green and save big with Ben Sweeney Euronics. Discover refurbished Lenovo ThinkPads that look and feel like new with Windows 11 pre-installed and a rock-solid 3-year warranty for total peace of mind. Why pay full price when you can save up to 70% and do your part for the planet by choosing sustainable tech? Find yours today at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Jenny loves spring. Sun on her face and a crisp cold specially selected kombucha from Aldi in her hand. It's picnic time. Uh-oh, wasps. Usually she'd freak out, but all the specially selected olives, relish and Gortnamona Irish goat's cheese have her feeling so at one with nature. She's thinking maybe wasps are just misunderstood. Now nothing can stop her enjoying picnic season. Not even that. Good food, good mood from Aldi.
You're welcome back to the 9 till Noon show here on Highland Radio. Just a reminder, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. And don't forget, you can watch the show on YouTube at home if you wish, or on Facebook. Highland Radio Ireland, Highland Hub, or Highland Radio News, Sport and Obituary Notices. Okay, let's go to our next guest on the show now, and it is Rosina Toner, who is a cancer campaigner. Rosina, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you keeping?
I'm very well, and thank you so much for having me again.
Right,
I appreciate it so much.
No, it's our pleasure. It's important. So, you know, we spoke to you last week about your meeting with management and, you know, where the fault or blame might lie or what needs to be done. And, of course, it was in advance of another protest to be held outside Letterkenny Universal Hospital. I believe it to be the 3rd. Reflecting on it, reflecting on the mood, the turnout, how do you feel this morning?
I feel that I am very grateful to those that did take the time from their day to show up, but it was not even nearly enough people. Like, we have a population of 160,000, and I would say if I had 500 or 600 throughout the day was probably the height of it. Much more than the last two protests. And as I say, I'm grateful to those people for taking the time. Again, there was a lot of Inishowen people that turned up. That we did have, like, I was chatting to Letterkenny people, Balwafay people, a couple from Ranafast, there was a couple from Gweedore, but a couple, like, in the size of Donegal. This is not just about Letterkenny, and I just need to be really clear to people what this is about. This is about us extending and getting new facilities, cancer care facilities in Letterkenny University Hospital, because the services there are small and unfit for purpose. In turn of that, it will stop less people having to travel to Galway, because a lot of people aren't aware that is what the West is pushing for. That is what the TDs, the Department of Health, the HSE, that is what they're pushing for. So in Donegal, like, I now have the TDs on side up here, and I'm confident I have them on side because they're Donegal people as well. I just need the regular Joe Soap to get on side too, and to push and to realise that if we don't get better facilities in Letterkenny, we are going to have to go to Galway, and we are going to have to fight for those facilities. And I spoke to a man on Saturday who used to be, I'm not sure if he was a manager, but he had something to do with the hospital in the 80s. And he said even then, everything they got, they had to fight for. Nothing has changed. So it is up to the people to fight, and then not to be given out when things aren't there, because if we don't fight for them now, they're not going to be there. And it is as simple as that, as mad as it sounds. We are going to have to travel.
I said a little earlier on the show that, and this is no criticism, because, you know, as I say, my family circumstances mean I couldn't attend, right? But everyone's got an excuse, don't they? You could also argue. But, you know, with all the media coverage that has been out there and the social media work, you know, the people in Galway would have known what's going on. And then they probably, you know, checked out how many people turned up at the weekend. And they might say to themselves, I'm not saying they're cynical, but they might say to themselves, well, the problem obviously isn't that bad, because, you know, if it was that bad, there'd be 5,000 people protesting. But there wasn't, you know, 500 or 600 over the course of the day. But at any one time, it looked sparse enough. So they might say, well, obviously, Rosina's a noisy git, isn't she? But the people of Donegal seem happy enough with the services.
Yeah, and I agree totally. We're not making it, and it's not a big enough crowd to make a difference. And you know what? Thankfully, this is not just me. Like, I was feeling very positive on Saturday because there was people there from like 9 o'clock. There was people there. Mm-hmm. It was other people along the line when I was chatting to during the day would have said to me, you know, there's not nearly enough people here. And I was like, I know that, but I have to be grateful for who is here.
Yeah.
Like, it's just really frustrating. It's really frustrating that and this is not just me. Like, there's the likes of Betty Holmes and Noelle Duddy and other campaigners who've been campaigning for years. Like Noelle Duddy, like, she was at the meeting last Wednesday in the hospital. Almost 20 years she has been campaigning, and other people saying that the facilities aren't good enough. And nobody's getting behind them. And it's just getting worse because the population's getting bigger, people are living longer, and the facilities haven't changed because they're happy for us to go to Galway.
Yeah, but it's a funny thing, health, right? Because, you know, if you've been sick, whatever it might be, whether a stroke or cancer, what have you, and you get better, you know, you're thankful, you're pleased, you know, you're very, very thankful, and maybe less motivated to get out there. Maybe you have cancer or some other serious illness, and you think, I'm actually not well enough to do this. I don't have the strength to do it. And then there's a funny thing with health is that if you don't have to go to Letterkenny University Hospital or to your GP very often or whatever it might be, or you don't have someone close to you undergoing cancer treatment, it's not, you don't feel motivated. So that's why I think in this county, health protests are so poorly attended for those reasons I've outlined. And there are probably more because people are busy as well. And we know that, right? But, you know, I think that's part of the problem when you try and protest health. It's just getting the right people motivated at the right time.
do you know who was there? And this, and I mentioned this to my partner even this morning. We were just chatting about this. There was several different families that I spoke to who had already lost someone very dear to them with cancer. Like, there's a man who and his daughter turns up, and they lost their wife, and they are still so raw about that they can't even really talk about that. Then there was Boyd Robinson. Him and his family turned up. They were almost traumatized about what happened to their father. There was another family who had lost their sister 16 years ago. Like, these people who had lost people and didn't think the services were fit to look after their families are now out protesting to make sure nobody else's family goes through this. And I think them people are amazing, to have lost someone and to still come out and try and make the services better for someone else. Those are the people. There's another family too who the whole family turned up. They lost their mommy just, I'd say, 5 or 6 months ago. Like, the mommy, like her, so that's the family, her siblings, all turned up. And that to me is just really, really, I was just blown away by the people who came, who had lost somebody, and who all were there because they thought that the facilities weren't good enough and didn't care. Like, there weren't enough there to care for their family member, even if the outcome would have still been the same.
Mm-hmm.
So there's people who really didn't have to come because they've already lost someone, but they still did.
I get you. It's a tough one. What next? I mean, obviously, as you say, you have the politicians on board. I think the collective Donegal jersey's being pulled on now. What do you do next?
What do I do next? Well, next I think I'm going to have to just reach above Ashling Murphy and go to the Ceuta. They have changed their name, West, Northwest, something, and start emailing there and see if somebody will meet with me, because I want them to explain to me why they don't think Letterkenny deserves the funding that it needs, because that's what it needs. And I want them to sit with me and with the TDs and with Betty and Mary and Noel and explain to us why they think it's acceptable for us to have to tramp to Galway. Like, they just have no idea. I just can't get over that point enough. 250 kilometres is absolutely ridiculous that they think that that's acceptable.
Yeah, I get you. I think there's some suggestion there might be a visit to this area by the Minister for Health at some point. Have you heard that?
Yes, I have heard that. Her visit is going to be very brief.
Okay.
But the feelers are out there. If we can just kind of get it down to a rough time, I will be making my presence known.
All right. Listen, Rosina, listen, you're getting the message out there strongly. And I mean, obviously, people on the street makes a big difference, but it doesn't mean what you've been doing is not having its impact either. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That's Rosina Toner there. A caller says it's shocking that earlier this month there was a bigger group at the Palestinian protest in Letterkenny. It says a lot about our priorities. We won't protest about something we can change and do something about. We don't protest about something we can change and do about something we can't. Another, perhaps every little town in Donegal needs to organise their own protests. Well, I think really it's protesting health. I mean, one of the most attended protests I saw was Professor Mulpeter's protest when he was looking for a stroke unit, which he was successful in campaigning for. Louise is with me now. Hi, Louise.
Hi, Greg. Good morning.
Right, you text in about illegal immigration and protests, and what's your observation, your comment?
Yes, Greg. So just to put it out there, I am a mother of mixed race children. So, I have kids that I would consider to be Irish, well, mixed Irish, and if they grow up and they want to identify as Irish, I would feel that would be totally fine. And so when I am, to be honest, I'm going to this protest on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I'm going because, like many other Irish people, I do feel that, it's not so much illegal immigration, it's mass immigration. Immigration's getting out of control for me. That's kind of where I am. And I welcome immigration on a whole,
Mhm.
but it's just not to the extent that it is, today. Migration and immigration brings huge benefits to a country. And Irish people are very friendly, welcoming, warm people. I personally can say I've been in the circle of Africans, Asians, all sorts of people all my life, and I have my children who are half black, half African, and I can honestly say I've never, on a general, never felt any racism, and nor have my my African relatives. On a whole, Irish people are brilliant.
You are attending the anti-immigration protest at the weekend, you
Yes.
say, even though you are the mother of mixed race children. Are
Yes.
you sure? Are you sure that everyone's motives are the same? Are you sure that some people maybe don't want your children to, in inverted commas, go home?
Yes, well, this is the thing, Greg. So I think we need to we need to stand up. We need to stop making this personal towards the people that are here, right? That's one thing. We do have to protest but we need to direct it at the government. And so far, the leaders that seem to be speaking on these protests are not being racist, from what I can see. But the people that are attending, chanting these "go home," all of that's racist. And I really, really appeal to the people that are at the protest in Letterkenny. Don't belittle yourself to be racist. We're not a racist nation. We are angry, and we need to direct our anger against the government, not the people that are here.
It's a tough one because it's a tough one because I think the majority are of your view, but there are also those that might be a bit more extreme in their views who sort of mix in, and then the impression is given that that's the view of the entire crowd. So I didn't see many videos coming out of Dublin, and I take everything with a pinch of salt and do my own research and dig around a little bit. One of the videos I did see shared the most was a black guy on a bike. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I did. Yeah, I was very disgusted by that.
He was being told to go home.
I think that's terrible. I mean, like, the guy has an Irish accent.
But that's
I'm
probably
sure
not. Can I just add on, by the way? Sorry, I just want to say, I'm not saying that was reflective of those that attended that, but that's what comes out of it. But then again, people might say it's the far left that's probably amplifying those videos to undermine the genuine people attending the protest. Maybe that's just the way it is, Louise. It's going to, and we have to deal with that and make up our own minds.
Well, yeah, I would just say, like, people do want to protest, and like, if there's any sort of form of racism or any comments, I'm leaving the protest, and a lot of my friends will leave too. And we really don't want that. We want to have numbers standing behind us so the government will listen. But when we start breaking it into racist kind of things, it just divides us, and it doesn't give us strength in numbers. It's not going to help the cause.
So what is it that you're protesting against? I know you said, but what are your concerns? What are your concerns that's motivating you to go into Letterkenny at the weekend?
Well, my concerns is, I'm concerned that I have a few friends that have been on the housing list, single parents, and have been on the housing list for years. They can't get a house. They're paying extortionate rent. They can, it's difficult financially. The housing crisis is bonkers, but we seem to have a lot of room for a lot of people coming in. I feel like we need to control immigration to a point where we have to say, look, here's a number of people we can take in without making the Irish people
But many
suffer.
would feel we've already exceeded that number. So would you be in favour of a pause on immigration until such time as the situation here is resolved?
Yes, I would, definitely. I would. And then, not to say we can't open it again in the future, but we have to be mindful that we need to make sure that the Irish people have homes and have what they need, and all the excess should most definitely be given to those that need it.
And in terms of
the
majority of people that have come to this country, you're probably aware of coming on working visas. People from India and other countries. That's the greater proportion of people that have come into this country that are non-white, definitely. If I could put it like that, right? You're still in favour of that? Or do you believe that should also be suspended because all of those people need homes? They're coming into work in tech companies and hospitals and for home care. Do you believe that that should be suspended as well until we get all the houses sorted, or is it just people that are fleeing a war or something?
Well, I think it would need to be looked at in detail, but I don't think we should there is benefit in bringing the people in that are working, right, because we have gaps in industries. So it would need to be looked at, those people that
But
are
if it's about
housing,
those people are still competing for the same houses you might be.
Yes, that's true, but it needs to be looked at on a whole, right? How much resources do we have? We have an awful lot of houses that are empty. We need to. It's a bigger picture, but I think what we need to do is we need to start looking at capping immigration or looking at controlling numbers and not just letting it be, free. Anybody can come. It has to be controlled better, I would say. And another thing is I know there's a lot of talk about, fear walking down the street. My fear is that, apparently there's people coming off the airplane with no passport, no documentation, and they're being allowed in. I feel like we need to vet the people that we bring into our country. And if there's no documentation and we can't vet them, I don't feel we should be letting those people in. And that's why I'm going as well.
Would you bring your this sounds like it's a personal question. I don't mean it like that, but I just want to get your sense. Will you bring your mixed race kids to the protest? Like if they were of age?
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Because, they're young, they're too young.
Yeah, but let's say they were like 17 and 18. Or
well,
12 and 13.
I probably wouldn't, only because I'm a little bit afraid that people are going to start chanting those go home racist comments.
I mean,
that's my fear.
That's like, I'm just for the sake, because I think these conversations you've had in the public, Louise, I'm not trying to, but you're going to protest at the weekend, but you wouldn't bring your mixed race kids because you'd be afraid they might get racial abuse. Do you have some people listening Greg, might see that there's a bit ironic? I don't know. I know the majority of people wouldn't.
Let me explain to you.
Yeah, please.
Let me explain to you. So I actually contacted the organisers of the event, and I asked them, I want to be sure this is, that the leaders speaking here, this is not racist or white supremacy or, anything to do with people's religion or any negative hatred. And they assured me it wasn't. So I feel like the actual protest itself and the people speaking, they're not going to. I feel like what they're going to say, at least they've led me to believe, is of similar opinion of what I'm speaking about now. But I have seen those protests in Dublin, and I have seen how the people reacted. And
but we don't know how amplified a very small minority are, right? So the guards didn't have any issues with that protest in Dublin. One final question: do you have any issue with? Do you have any problem with, because it might come up at the weekend, mosques being built or different sort of religions being sort of exercised and practiced? Because there are some too that that they would have a concern about. You talked about, I think I'm trying to read your script, the text you sent in here, because I don't want to misquote you, but you talked about Irishness, right? So have you any concerns about the increase in the Muslim population, for an example? Do you believe, and how do you stymie that if you do? Or is it just about illegal immigration?
When I spoke about Irishness, I was more referring to the type of people that we're known to be, that friendly, welcome and warm people. In terms of the mosques, no, I mean, if we were to go somewhere else, we'd like to see a church. Well, I'm Christian. I'd like to see a church. I've been to Africa. I've been to churches there. The people need to worship. So if they need a mosque to worship, then and they're here and they're contributing to society, and why not let them worship where they need to worship? I have no issue with that, no.
And can we contact you next Tuesday to see how you feel it went? Would you mind?
Yes. And can I just say, please, I'm going to leave if I hear any of those chants. I'm not going to be participating in it. I'm going for the reason where I want, I want my number to be counted against what we're trying to speak up to the government. And I just really say, people, if we can just not be hatred, show hatred and just try to keep it civil.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, okay.
But yes,
Louise, thanks.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I think it's a critical moment. I think next weekend's going to be a critical moment in the conversation. Thanks, Louise. Take care of yourself. David, sorry for holding you. I just wanted to sort of get Louise's views in their entirety. Your headline in your text, definitely two different laws. What are you talking about, David?
There's definitely two different laws, because like they can come here, get rent free. Some of them are working and they still get their rent paid for, and then they can bring their own car from Ukraine. I'm saying Ukraine because that's the cars you see, and they come with an original old banger of a car. They're here 6 months to 8 months. Then they go home and they change their car. They bring a newer car here. They go from an old car to a BMW or a newer Honda Accord or whatever. They're delivery drivers. They drive for delivery, so everybody sees the cars delivering their pizzas and everything around their houses. And yet no, they don't have to tax them. They don't have to test them. But if I went into Derry and bought a car today, I know for a fact because I've done it before. I bought a car and within 3 weeks I was stopped and told I needed you to pay that car.
Yeah, and these cars that you're seeing about are cars on Ukrainian plates, yeah?
Yeah, definitely Ukrainian plates. Like they're driving around in X5 Jeeps and BMW. I even seen a Ukrainian Audi R8. That's a 175 grand car that they're driving around Buncrana.
Not delivering pizzas, though, I presume.
No, not delivering pizzas, obviously. But they're still driving around in a 175 grand car, and they're living in a house that's paid for by us. And then if their car breaks down, they get it fixed.
And is your
what Louise was saying there?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
What Louise was saying there about people coming in, I have no problem. My wife's not from this country. I have no problem with anybody coming to this country to work that makes a life for themselves and contributes to the country. And you're on about these people with temporary visas and things that they'll be competing with your houses. That doesn't matter. They're going to pay their rent for their house.
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming here and getting a free house. So I have no problem with them coming in.
So you're saying that's a level playing field financially. It's irrelevant then where someone's come from.
Yeah, but the rent is so dear in Ireland now because all these people have come in. There isn't the houses. That's the problem.
And I mean, there is another issue as well, and this is not being anti-Ukraine. People understand that, but obviously Ukrainians still get $600 a month rent, and a lot of them are topping that up as well, and they are being moved out of hotels and into the general rental market. And we have heard from a county councillor, in fact, a Sinn Féin county councillor, saying that is skewing the market, that they have an unfair advantage in acquiring houses because the 600 is tax-free for the landlord, of course, and then if they're working or have other benefits, they can contribute more on top of that. So they're a more attractive tenant. So that's also a factor in the support, it has to be said.
I personally think if they're working in this country, they shouldn't be entitled to any money off their rent. Like, this is the thing, they're working and they're walking around in the best of clothes, the best of gear, and like I said in my text, myself and my wife both work full-time jobs. We can't get a mortgage. We are saving, but it's just terrible. Like, it's just, what do you do? Like,
okay,
there's all you do is keep working, and you pay childcare and you pay everything else, and you're just working to pay your bills.
All right, listen, thanks.
There's no living. Yet no, you see these people sitting around doing nothing all day.
Yeah.
Getting their house paid for, their food paid for, their doctor paid for, their car paid for.
And
it's gone beyond a joke now.
Your anger, I don't want to use the word anger, right, but your dissatisfaction with that is it the government, or do you feel they're...
Oh, it's the government. It's completely the government. All political establishments, they're just like, we don't even have opposite bench anymore, like, because they're too soft. Like, there's nothing. Used to be a point where the opposite bench would get up and stand up and throw papers and row and make a scene and fight for people's rights, but now it's just all backroom talks, like, and everything's. They're all singing off the same hymn sheet. Like.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's like, enough at this point. Enough was enough. I'm not angry I'm just
no. I've tried
I'm
not.
just sick of it. I'm just
I tried
sick
not
of it
to
now,
use the
this
word
thing.
angry because you've come across
No,
as
but
reasoned, but I couldn't find
I
another
do get
word.
angry at well, the day I seen that Ukrainian Audi R8, I was angry because that's a $175,000 car, and somebody's supposed to be fleeing a war and all.
But I mean, they're not economic refugees. But I do take your point. I mean, you can be a billionaire and you can be fleeing rockets, but that's
a
not,
war.
but that's not the
Ukraine
point.
is 10 times the size of Ireland.
Yeah.
Ukraine's 10 times the size of Ireland. We don't need to be taking them in. They
All
can
right.
move in their own country.
David, thank you for that. Another caller says, meanwhile, the immigrants are currently outnumbering Irish births 2-1. We will live in a different Ireland in a decade or so. I must have a look at the figures. Last time I checked, it wasn't quite that. Greg, don't try and be facetious to that honest woman. We know you're an open border woke advocate. I swear, don't want to be triggered about this, but you know what? It's possibly why other radio stations or other radio presenters don't talk about this, because even by talking about it, there are people, and I note that protest down in Letterkenny too is against the media as well, right? So we're covering it, we're talking about it, we're platforming people while they're actually calling people out to protest against the media. That's fine, I don't mind that. But even by talking about it, and we had the same when we talked about this issue a couple of weeks ago, there are those in the movement that simply, they don't want you to, and I don't know why, but they don't want you to talk about it because they try and make you not talk about it almost, which is really quite bizarre. So the more balanced you try and be, the more criticism you get from those who are sometimes organising these types of things. So that protest on Saturday, Louise is effectively going to be protesting about the media as well, and yet here we are, a stone's throw from where the process will take place, talking about it. So I sometimes don't think people want it to be talked about either at the same time. It is fundamentally dishonest to label the protest as being anti-immigration. They're protesting against open borders and population replacement. Every major Dutch city is now majority foreigners, and it's happening all over Europe. Legal controlled immigration benefits the home and the host nation. Open borders does not. So that's why I wanted to tease out, and when I referenced being facetious with Louise, about the cultural side of things, because this text really is not just about illegal immigration. This is about the replacement theory, right? And the replacement theory is presumably whether you come here legally or illegally. So there's going to be different views. There is different views, but there's going to be different views. Morning, Greg. Fully support your caller Louise on attending anti-immigrant protests in Letterkenny. Too many migrants coming in. We need our borders closed. That girl's 100% right, and most right-thinking Irish people think that way, but our government is not listening. Hi, Greg. It appears to be that Louise's issue is government housing policy as opposed to immigration. Well, people all have their own reasons. Right, we'll be back with more on the programme after a break.
Attention all animal lovers. Looking for quality, affordable veterinary care? Northwest Vets is now open for small animals in Burt. They are proudly local and independently owned. With over 60 years combined experience, they'll treat your pets like family. Book now and save 10% on small animal surgeries this April at Northwest Vets, Burt's premier veterinary clinic.
Electrify your drive with a new Nissan range at iMotors. Explore the tech-packed Juke, the smart and spacious Qashqai with e-Power Hybrid, the best-selling X-Trail e-Power, or go fully electric with the Nissan Ariya. For a limited time, 4.9% finance across the range, and up to €4,000 trade-in boosters. Smarter driving starts here. Visit iMotors in Letterkenny or Malin and see what's new from Nissan. iMotors, we're driven by you.
Spark pure barbecue joy this bank holiday with Lidl. Our claim to flame, our fresh meats, fish and poultry, any three for just €9. And don't wait for the grass to grow before getting our Parkside robot lawnmower in store this Thursday for only $199.99. Shop without compromise. Go full Lidl this bank holiday.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Alice is celebrating 30 years at the heart of Maggie's Tavern in St Johnson. Join us this May Bank Holiday weekend, May 2nd to 4th, for live music, family fun and top acts like Martin Cuff, Gary Gamble, Olivia Douglas and more. Full details on Maggie's Tavern Facebook page.
For all your pharmacy needs, visit the new Brennan's Pharmacy in Letterkenny, now open at the Fort Retail Park right across from the new Dunn Stores and Costa Coffee. With 600 free parking spaces in a convenient location, we're ready to help with all types of prescriptions, medicines, pharmacist advice, vaccinations, plus an extensive range of skincare, vitamins, gifts and much more. Can't make it in? We offer local home delivery within 10 kilometres of Letterkenny, perfect when getting into town is tough. So for all your pharmacy and prescription needs, trusted advice and friendly service, come to the new Brennan's Pharmacy Letterkenny. Call us at 074 970 8060. We're here for you.
Renovating or rebuilding? Struggling to find the perfect tiles? McCafferty's Tiles Balbuffet has you covered. We've got stunning large format and designer tiles, expert installations, and even a free design consultation in our showrooms or at your site. Call McCafferty Tiles on 086 242 3604 or find us on socials. Showroom by appointment.
We love better value at Dunn Stores. Toast to savings with a great selection of red and white wines for just €10, like Villa Maria's Sauvignon Blanc and Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc. Mix and match too for €6 on frozen favourites, like a range of Goodfellas thin pizzas and Bird's Eye Waffles 10 packs. Plus, save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunn Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
All right, patchy rain and drizzle clearing shortly to leave a dry day with spells of hazy sunshine gradually breaking through as the day goes on. Temperatures 15 to 18 degrees. Retired Judge Sean McBride is with me on the programme now. Sean, thank you very much for your time this morning.
You're very welcome, Greg, and welcome to your listeners as well.
And you are quite literally at the airport, are you not, as you take off for a very special reason, a very personal reason, Sean?
Yes, Greg. I'm just at the gates of the departure gates here in Dublin Airport, and I'm flying out with Aer Lingus, leaving at 1 o'clock to go to Santiago de Compostela International Airport. And we're with Orbis Ways and Orbis Travel, a group from all over the world, on the pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela. And we go to Baio on the Portuguese-Spanish border tonight and stay overnight there. And then we walk a pilgrimage over 8 days of approximately 100 miles to Santiago de Compostela. And the reason I'm doing it is in memory of my beloved wife, Greta, my soulmate, who sadly passed away on the 5th of July last Friday morning in Letterkenny University Hospital, where she breathed her last and her spirit, please God, went straight to heaven as we witnessed the roses of St. Teresa of Lisieux and St. Padre Pio. Everybody in the room of the family and me witnessed that, and the priest said that's the sign of a soul going to heaven. So Greta had a lot of illnesses. I nursed her in the last few years. And in particular, I'm raising funds in her memory for, first of all, the intensive care acute stroke unit of Letterkenny University Hospital under the leadership and guidance of the lovely Dr. Jose Miranda from a native of Madrid, who we're very fortunate to have as a consultant. He's a lovely man, dedicated staff of doctors, nurses, and the entire staff of Letterkenny Hospital. A big thank you today from Sean here. You were so kind to Greta, every one of you, and I do everything I can to support the hospital. So 50% of the GoFundMe that I've organised is going towards that worthy cause, and the other 50% is to Donegal Hospice, whose nurses gave us end of care life in the last week of Greta's life. She was too sick to transfer across the road, and she passed away. So I'm just privileged as a humble sinner and walking in the souls and the feet of St. Paul on the road to Damascus. And I'm going to be praying very hard, and I'll pray for all of you, Greg, and everybody in Donegal at the tomb of St. James the Apostle, James and son, and John, the sons of Zebedee. James's remains and bones are buried in the crypt of the cathedral, Roman Catholic Cathedral, of Santiago de Compostela in Santiago de Compostela, and that will be at the end of the journey. It's a pilgrimage as well as walking. I have been doing a lot of training for it. I'm a GAA man and former athlete, and I've been training for the last 2.5 months, and I'm in great shape, thanks be to God.
Good stuff.
I'm looking forward to the trip.
Well done, Sean. And I get the feeling there's a million reasons why you're doing this. For your wife,
yes,
and your soulmate, for yourself, but also for all of the people. And it seems like so many people that were there for you and your family at your most difficult time. Sean, how do people
absolutely.
How do people donate if they want to support you with what you're doing?
You can first of all, you can just check up under GoFundMe.com and look up for organizer, and the organizer is Sean McBride, County Donegal, and you'll get into it no bother.
All right, Sean, listen, safe travels, enjoy the walk, and I hope you get everything from it that you're hoping.
Please God, and thank you, Greg, for allowing me the time on your programme this morning to raise the matter, you know.
Okay. There is
a code as well, but you know, there's a code to get into it. But I think the easiest way.
Sean McBride, M-A-C Bride, I think is the easiest way.
Yeah. Is the organizer. Just GoFundMe.com and just type in organizer Sean McBride, M-A-C-B-R-I-D-E, County Donegal, and it should flash up okay.
Look after yourself. Thank you very much indeed, Sean McBride there. A caller says Ukrainian car owners have their cars insured in Ukraine. What happens if they have a collision here? Well, there's an agreement in place and that has been established, so their insurance over there covers them over here. For the record, undocumented migrants, those without legal immigration status, are not eligible to apply for social housing. Without a valid immigration status, they cannot access public services, including social housing. But there was bits of crossover here as well, because, I mean, obviously some people are also, it's not about where you're coming from. The competition with housing, or the issue with housing, is often, it can be Ukrainians, but there also is a sense, whether it can be backed up by figures or not, I don't know, that once people get their documents, that they of course then are, and some would say, you know, sometimes get houses quicker than Irish people that have been waiting for a long time. So I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying that's what motivates people to protest. Re-immigration, Greg, don't forget that it was the government that invited mass immigration to Ireland. Remember when Roderick O'Gorman wrote in various languages offering free accommodation here? Everyone, it is no wonder we have a housing crisis. Morning, Greg. We have around 40,000 young men coming into Ireland. My question is, in that 40,000, there's not one woman or child. So have these men abandoned their women and children? Not one TD or councillor can or won't answer that question. The Muslim Day of Worship is on a Friday. Catholic Mass is most popular on a Sunday. Why can we not lend our churches or places of worship to other religions? We should share, says a listener. Greg, listening to the BBC yesterday after... Well, I'll come back to that because that's sport-related. I'll come back to that. Are the people in Letterkenny aware that there is presently planning applications for 5 iPass centres in Letterkenny? I haven't seen that. I'm not disputing it because I haven't seen it one way or other. To be fair to Greg and Highland, he allows it to be debated, and it is a concern as it's a forced integration upon the people of Letterkenny and the rest of Donegal. If there are people here illegally, then they should be told to leave, as said by Michael McDougall last year. But we've also seen figures as it relates to the very slow progress of those being asked to leave and them actually leaving. Greg, the talking is all done. The action starts now. What does that mean? I don't know. But presumably it's feet on the ground and what have you. All right, news on the way.
Join us this Wednesday on Around the Northwest with John Breslin from 12 to 2:30. LC Packaging in Newton Cunningham has teamed up with I Am Here to host an afternoon dedicated to health and self-care. Enjoy insightful discussions, fun activities and the opportunity to recharge. Join us for on-site food, refreshing drinks, engaging activities and an opportunity to connect.
Do you know what really drives business success? Your people. At Skillnet Ireland, we know that having a skilled and talented team makes all the difference. Our upskilling programs and 70 Skillnet business networks help businesses thrive by developing your greatest asset, your people. Now that's real talent. Discover how Skillnet Ireland can support your business today. Visit skillnetireland.ie. Skillnet Ireland is a business support agency of the Government of Ireland.
Don't miss out on the excitement here at Century Complex. This Easter, enjoy lots of new and exciting films on the big screen in Century Cinemas. Enjoy a delicious meal with family and friends and backstage. Hop into Crazy Golf and Darts and spend hours of fun in Century Play. Century Complex is the perfect one-stop location this Easter.
If you have a cough, flu, sore throat, or if you're just feeling miserable, don't suffer through it. At McGee's Chemist, we have the expertise to help you feel better. Our pharmacists and experienced staff will recommend the most effective over-the-counter solutions and give advice on how best to manage your symptoms. At McGee's, we have a wide range of trusted brands and products to help you recover. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Spring is here, and so are the new arrivals at Green Shoes. Shop in store or online from best-selling brands like Doc Martens, Birkenstock and Wonders. Also Riker, Echo, Bugatti and many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards accepted in store. Visit Green Shoes and discover the perfect footwear to complement your style. Green Shoes at Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara and online at greenshoes.com.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And we're going to be talking sport shortly with Brendan. It is 11 o'clock though on the button. Let's get that news update now, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. It has emerged that firefighters had to use water from a nearby stream to battle the blaze that engulfed St Mary's Church in Derrybeg last Monday. It was due to low water pressure at a number of nearby fire hydrants. Councillor John Hamish O'Farry says he was told this in recent days, and he says it again highlights the need for investment in the county from Uisce Éireann. The lady behind multiple protests at Letterkenny University Hospital says more people need to show their support. At the latest protest on Saturday last, Rosina Toner Doherty says while around 500 or 600 people came out in support over the course of Saturday, it's less than 1% of the population of Donegal and is not enough. The protests have been held in a bid to improve cancer treatment facilities in Letterkenny University Hospital, as many of those who receive a diagnosis need to travel to Galway to manage their illness. The Garda Commissioner has reacted to not being invited to the annual GRA conference this week. Drew Harris has released a statement outlining what he would have said in his address to delegates if he were invited to the two-day event in Killarney. The Commissioner says the Garda management has been put in place in a range of additional measures to support members, including the rollout of body cams, mobile phones and additional equipment for the Emergency Response Unit and the Armed Support Units. Donegal accounts for the highest number of applications made for grants to refurbish vacant properties. Nationally, over €112 million has been paid out, seeing over 2,000 homes back into residential use. In Donegal, 1,114 applications have been made. Of those, 811 have been approved. Russia claims it's down to Ukraine to signal the start of direct negotiations to end the war. Talks between the two sides have been raised during a recent meeting between Vladimir Putin and US envoy Steve Witkoff. Donald Trump urged Mr. Putin to stop shooting, sit down and sign a deal. And finally, Crawley and surrounding areas are facing water outage issues this morning as a result of a burst water main. Works are scheduled to take place until 8 o'clock tonight. However, Uisce Éireann says it may take up to 4 hours for supplies to fully return. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back again at 12 noon.
Thanks, Donna Marie.
The infection felt terrible. I just wasn't getting better. I was breathing fast and I felt confused. I had shivers and pain through my body. I was drinking water, but I wasn't peeing. I felt like I was going to die. In the hospital, they said I had sepsis. And it's urgent.
Sepsis can hide behind any infection at any age, so watch out for the signs. Visit hse.ie/sepsis for more information. And don't be afraid to ask the question, could it be sepsis? From the HSE.
086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Right, it's always a busy DL debate. Lots to talk about this evening, as always. Brendan Devaney, it's presenter. Good morning, Brendan.
Morning, Greg.
How are you getting on?
I'm getting on the best, my man, and you?
Good, good. Let's start with hurling, if that's all right. And I think, you know, hurling fans, of which you're amongst, were kind of robbed of a potential Classic yesterday, Cork 427, Tipperary 24 points. And it all came down, I suppose, to Tipperary playing much of the game, all the game with just 14 men.
Yeah, certainly. I suppose I was up in Clonus, so just seeing bits and pieces of it last night. But yeah, the famous Munster hurling, I suppose, is the opposite to your Ulster football championship. It's the one where all the excitement lies, and yeah, sending off being a different, and of course then leaving things open for goals and Cork punished.
Donegal versus Down yesterday. How break it down for us? It's a tough one, right? Because I get the feeling that on the line, Jim McGuinness thought Donegal were in control, given some of the subs he made later on in the game. But maybe fans watching on were thinking, wow, okay, we're going to need a much better performance against Armagh. What's your sort of assessment of what we saw from Donegal yesterday? I mean, it was lackluster at times, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I suppose they done what they needed to do. Listen, it was interesting, I suppose, the Down tactics at times. They tried to open out our defence a wee bit, the shield that we had. And I think that was a good maybe learning process for Donegal in terms of you could tell that there was a bit of thought put on to try and break down the shield. So I think there was good learning in that for Donegal. But at half time, it was 15-7. Donegal were very much in control of the game. And you just got the feeling in the second half that Donegal would try and manage it, which is always a dangerous thing. Greg, I said at the gym after there was a period they were down, had 3 points in a row. And Jim said, it's not 3 points in a major in the modern new rules. But it wasn't really that. Donegal had 4 attacks in that time and they were all stopped. We dispossessed. And just after those 3 points, Down missed a 2-pointer. So it would have brought it back to 3 points at that stage of the game. And, it would have been game on a bit then. There was whatever few Down fans were there, certainly get a small bit of energy in it. And you just got the feeling here we need to start clipping over. And then you had the Langan 2-pointer from distance, which was a big score, just to keep that... I suppose that glimmer of hope that Down had that they could make a game of it late on. Of course, they had 2 goal chances where in that second half where they could again maybe energise the Down team. But then again, we missed another 2 1-on-1s ourselves.
And they probably should have been down to 14 men. There's so many variables, I suppose, really it is just what it is.
No, it was job done. Like, listen, when the ball's thrown in now in a couple of weeks' time, there'll not be a word about that Down match.
Well, just in relation to that, I mean, was that game management? Like, you take McBurty off, you take Murphy off, you must be pretty comfortable with the control you have in the game. And whilst it might not be pretty, there must have been a sense there that there were still gears, you know what I mean? And that if they needed to be used, they were there.
Yeah, well, listen, I don't think there's any issue. And, Murphy had played, the 2 full matches previous there. And a lot of us were a bit maybe surprised at that because it looked like, particularly the way he came into a couple of games, the way he completely changed it for Donegal, that he would be, a lot of us thought it would be a tactic to bring him in.
Impact sub.
Yeah, and I suppose maybe that's not a role maybe for Michael Murphy. And obviously Jim sees it different because when the game was going against us against Monaghan, when they were really putting it up to us, you kind of thought if Michael was coming in at that point, is that the kind of role for him? But obviously Jim sees it different, and Michael's ability on the pitch, when he is given the ball and that. The thing is about playing him inside with McBurdy and with Gallen and that, like we don't tend to use the ball, we don't tend to kick it in. So what happens is Michael will come out around and maybe come on the loop, and he'll get different parts of the possession, but we probably don't see him on the ball as much as we would like. So how Jim uses that is he's thinking about freshness, but as well as at the squad, you've a lot of good players on the bench there that are chomping on the bit, and certainly you think if players are at a certain stage of their career, it's important to keep them fresh. Yeah. So I think while Donegal kind of had that cushion, it was smart enough to bring them off and use the bench.
And I think Jim McGuinness is very keen and perhaps seeing it with Galway that the whole squad plays up at the same pace, at the same level, so that you can interchange people without necessarily a drop in the overall performance. And I get the feeling everything he does is sort of working towards that and with that in mind. So it's on to Armagh in an Ulster final. It's going to be on Clonus. It's on Saturday night. It's not going to please everyone, right? Are you happy it's in Clonus? We did see previous Ulster finals in Croke Park where, there was 65,000 people were able to attend, so you get twice as many people to watch it as such. Or do you believe it's the home of the Ulster final and that's just the way it should be?
Well, look, I think there's a case to be made for both, Rick, but I think for most people, they're happy in Clonus. And I don't think, back to them days where there was real boom time in the GAA and, the Ulster final needed to be taken out of it just for the demand. I don't think the demand, listen, it would exceed what Clonus would have, but not to a level for me you would want to be Croke Park. So, and as well as that, let's say you got the 45,000 or even 50 in Croke Park, that's still, in Croke Park terms, it's not like a sellout, and it certainly wouldn't have the atmosphere of what Clonus is going to have. So I think it was a smart move to keep it there. And the fact that we were in the qualifier too, Greg, and it's only a couple of weeks after the league, it's a lot for Donegal people and fans, and they've been brilliant. You see so many of them at all the matches. They're travelling, so we've already, what's that now? That'll be 4 games in what, 5 weeks?
Yeah, 5. Yeah, there's 3 in the row, wasn't there? And then
yeah, it's a lot. So I think to go the whole way to Dublin, and for some people that's an overnight, and I think that would have been a lot to ask.
I hear you. What did you learn from Armagh in their tussle with Tyrone, or Tyrone for that matter? It was a tight one. It's a shame sometimes that games finish in certain ways because it takes away then from the 70 minutes. But what's your reflection on that game and what it means for the Ulster final?
Yeah, I think probably Armagh, just coming back off the back of last year, they were losing maybe tight games, and maybe that bit of composure and that wee bit of belief wasn't with them. But ever since we obviously beat them in the Ulster final and that penalty shootout, that was back-to-back finals for them. Now they're in their 3rd final in a row. So they are desperate to win, Greg, and they did look like the bit of composure was there in them final moments, which maybe was lacking in other games. So, once he came through those qualifiers, and particularly I think the Kerry semi-final, then obviously the Galway final, that is a different Armagh. Their squad has improved tremendously as well. They have a lot of options too. So, a bit like that Tyrone game, Armagh and Donegal's going to come down to a score either way. It could be extra time again. There will be absolutely nothing on that. But I do sense a wee bit more assurity with them.
Yeah, I watched much of the Meath-Dublin game. I thought Meath were good value for their victory. It got tight towards the end, but that's what we would like, isn't it? They ran up a cricket score in the first half and held on. How significant is it? Well, it's the first time they've lost in their province since 2010, I believe. But how significant is it, do you think, even for the All-Ireland series, Meath seemed to handle Dublin as well as they did?
Yeah, listen, big change over in the Dublin squad. You've absolute iconic men retiring. There's always going to be that difficulty of the changeover, and they performed reasonably well in the week. They won 4 games in the league, which nobody won more than 4 games in the league, and they were fairly comfortable. So we weren't too sure what we were going to see in the championship. But of course, this was the first time a semi-final was taken, outside of Croke Park since 1985. And you're talking about Croke Park there, in terms of a potential Ulster final there. But, you look at Leinster, Dublin, it's a home game. If you take it like this, Greg, if the Ulster final has been played in Ballybofey, who would be odds on to win it? It's 50-50 now. There's no doubting Donegal would be clear favourites. So that home venue is massive for them. So they take them out, and then for Meath, they have a rattle at them. It's brilliant to see. The Louth-Meath final, of course, it brings back the famous controversial one there where the ball was carried over the line in the last couple of minutes. Was it a goal? Was it not? So it's a repeat of that final, right? But certainly it's brilliant for Leinster football, because the Leinster Championship was a dead man walking there until somebody finally beat the Dubs. So Meath has done it, fair play to them. And of course, a lot of controversy in the back of Robbie Brennan's tenure there as well, with coaches walking away and bit of turmoil there, but Meath certainly pulled it together, and full value for the victory.
Right, okay, just back to hurling. I'm sure you're going to be talking about Donegal's win in the Christy Ring Cup. What a win, what a performance against Tyrone.
Yeah, I suppose it's a barometer of where Donegal hurling is going. For years there, it's Tyrone Donegal clashes. There was nothing in them. You wouldn't know who's going to win them. With Tyrone at home on Saturday, you thought there's the potential for a Tyrone victory, but at 23.1 for our lads, amazing stuff. What a game, and it just shows where Donegal hurling is at now. That's a massive victory for Donegal, and especially particularly away from home. So listen, well done to Mickey McCann.
And there was so much else that will be covered on the show tonight. Guests Neil Loughran of the Irish News and senior club managers Gary McDade and Barry Meehan, with a special focus on, and this is how fast things come at you, already looking forward to the new club season with the new rules, which is going to be interesting. There have been some club games with them, and people I've spoken to have said they enjoyed it and the rules were enforced, you know. The players can help you out a bit and stuff as well. But it's going to be an interesting chat. You've a lot to fit in, Brendan.
Yeah, I'll have to talk fast, Greg. Yeah. Listen, we're 4 games into the league. You know, I was very interested just to see what the feeling is, because there's so much talk about the fact that you've all the officials at county games, and how as a ref, you know, and I've heard anecdotally some refs not applying the rules properly. And of course, we want to give them time to do that, but some of them have been a bit, you know, particularly there when the indiscretion was changed, you know, with the 3 up, if there's a black card, you know, that you can't have the, you know, you can have the 11 be the 10 if you like. That seems to have been not followed through in a couple of games by refs and that. And there's anecdotal evidence. Just so I'd like to see what's been made, how it's bedding in the club. So that's why I asked Gary McDade and Barry Meehan to come on and talk about that, just to see how things is opening up in the club season in these early stages. And of course, big under-20 final this Wednesday night as well up in Owenbeg. Our under-20s are playing Tyrone. Gary Boyd's team, they hammered Cavan 4-19 to 2-7 there last week in the semi, so that's setting up an intriguing game in Owenbeg, and that team's certainly flying and good for the future. Seems a lot of talented young Donegal footballers coming through.
Brilliant stuff. Listen, we want to scratch the surface. Brendan Devaney, thank you very much indeed. The DL debate on tonight just after 7 o'clock. Well, a lot of sport happened at the weekend, including something that you don't see very often, and that's a true sort of crossover boxing match where not only just boxing fans are tuned in because they've been waiting for it and anticipating it, but you get people who don't always watch boxing but get caught up in a story or get caught up in the characters and find themselves tuning in. And that's what happened on Saturday night, because 35 years on from Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn battling it out in Birmingham, and then a draw, I think it was in Old Trafford, thereafter. The war between the families continued. Chris Eubank Jr. took on Conor Benn, and I'm delighted to welcome onto the show pro boxer, promoter, pundit, mountain climber. Where does the list, doesn't it? Presenter. Jason, good morning to you, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Not a problem, Greg. Pleasure to be on, lad. Pleasure.
I remember watching these two. They go at it. I remember I watched it with Nigel Benn's brother in a pub I was working with in England on a big screen, and it was just one of the most amazing experiences in my life. And I thought, right, you know, Ben's too light, Conor Ben's too light, Chris Eubank Senior's too old and has lost too much weight. This can never match expectations. But it was absolutely phenomenal, straight into my top 3 boxing matches I've ever seen. What was your take on it all?
Yeah, I think it was very similar to yourself, Greg. You know, you hit the nail on the head. There's not too many crossover fights that end up like this, but there's not too many sons of legends that get into boxing and actually go on and produce what they produce. Like, they're both good fighters, talented fighters, but I believe that rivalry, that anticipation, that family hatred really brought the two fighters to another level. And for fight fans, it was an absolute treat, and it definitely is up there as well for me for one of those top fights that I've ever watched. Like, it was just relentless from the very start to the very end. I couldn't believe that they kept it going from the first bell. Like, Conor Benn came out in that first round and really tried to take the head off Chris Eubank, and I think that was maybe what we anticipated anyway, because of the build-up and the hype, where Eubank is relaxed and calm and, you know, takes everything in his stride, whereas Ben is very emotional, very out there, lets you know how he feels, and it just ended up an unbelievable fight.
And like, you've done training and you know about losing weight and all of that. How difficult is it to keep going like they went going deep into the fight? Do you know, to have those energy levels, the level of training, and I think even maybe will kept them going, because they both ended up in hospital, and Junior still officially medically dehydrated this morning. What level of fitness would be required to be so active so deep into a 12-round fight?
To be honest, like, you can be as fit as you want, but boxing is one of those sports that can take you to a dark place and a deep place that you really see if there's other words for it, but you really see if you have a heart in you. Do you know what I mean? And these lads went to those dark places in that fight. They released something, unlocked something in them that I'm not even sure that they thought that they had inside them, and that is the build-up of, like, these lads were kids whenever their dads were fighting. Like, they have grown up with this instilled in them, like, even unknown to themselves, like when they were walking around as kids and growing up, that hatred, that rivalry was always there, it was always building up to this moment. And it doesn't matter how fit you are, like, you always have an extra gear in you if you can go to that place. And the two lads really went to that place, and the weight definitely plays a part. Like, I have so much respect for Conor Benn. I really liked him before this fight anyway, but to move up 2 weight divisions, like, this guy has moved up 2 weight divisions, and to be honest, in this fight, he was the one that hurt Eubank more than Eubank hurt him, from what I seen. You know, he hit Eubank in a couple of the rounds and really wobbled him, dazed him for a bit, but Eubank just kept coming back and used his size, used his strength towards the end of the fight, lay on Conor Benn on the ropes, you know, put the pressure on him. Even though he mightn't be hitting him big hard shots, he was lying over the top of him, using that extra couple of kilos that he had on him. And I think that's what won him the fight, to be honest.
It was almost like, you know, a retired Stone Cold Steve Austin returning to WrestleMania. When that door opened and Chris Eubank Jr. was there, I mean, the pop in the stadium, but I'll be honest with you, the pop in my front room was that was something else, wasn't it? It was almost the highlight of the night in a way. You would think, no, the fight can't match that, but the door swinging open and him stepping out, like, it was something else.
And it really is. He's a phenomenal character in general. It's like something out of a movie, to be honest. You know, it really is. It was very movie-like, the whole build-up to the fight. The actual fight itself was like a Rocky movie, you know, the way that they went at it, the way that the tables kept turning, and one for Ben and then kept turning for Eubank. You know, but the two fathers really made it, as he says, like, and to see Chris Eubank Sr. stepping out, the presence that he has is something else. And, you know, once you see him, I think everybody puts a smile on their face, whether it's a good smile or a bad
He's
smile.
mad as a box of frogs,
you know.
but, I mean, it just made the whole night. I have no appetite, but I know this is going to sound strange. I have no appetite to see that again. I don't know what your views are. I think they got away with it once. I think Ben coming up a couple of weight divisions, although Eubank has fought at 160 in the last 3 or 4 fights of his, so he should have been fit to make it, right? But I think he struggles that weight anyway. I would just leave it there. I don't think I want to see it again. I don't know. What do you think? What do you want?
Me personally, what would I want is, I would love to see it again. I would love to see them going at it again, and I think maybe Eubank will win a little bit more convincingly this time now because he has that edge. But Conor Benn is always dangerous. Like, I was so impressed with his explosiveness throughout the whole fight, his sharpness, his movement. It looked very novice-y, it looked very raw, but it caused Chris Eubank so much trouble because he couldn't pin him down. He was throwing the jab one minute, he was away round to the left-hand side of him. Like, he wasn't just bobbing and weaving, slipping side to side. He was actually completely around to Eubank's left shoulder, then he'd be around to his right shoulder. and really dazzled
Barry,
Eubank
I
early
actually
on.
laughed at, like, I was watching it on DAZN, and Barry Jones said in the first 3 or 4 rounds, and it really actually made me belly laugh. He said something like he's doing it all in no man's land, and it was kind of true. He was bobbing and weaving and throwing punches, not even in the zone, and you thought, right, he's used up all his energy, he's banjaxed, and yet it was on. So 2 questions then, right? If you were his promoter, what would you do? We have to keep in mind, right, he's got fantastic WBC options at 147, Ben has. You know, he's a young fighter. As you say, the odds are all probably stacked against him in a rematch. If you're Eddie Hearn, do you go for probably... Well, I mean, he's going to make money any which way. And he sat down in front of you and he says, look, Jason, what do you think I should do? Do you go for the rematch, try and settle the score, or do you go and operate at your own weight where you know you've got great endurance and you know you've got great power and you know you've got a real good chance of winning the gold?
Yeah, so, like, as I said, there's a few options here. Like, personally, I would love to see the fight again because it was an unbelievable... I think it could be like an Eric Morales, Marco Antonio Barrera kind of trilogy of fights. But if I'm promoting this fight, if I'm promoting Conor Benn right now, I would definitely take him back down to his natural weight. Get him a world title, fingers crossed. Nothing's ever guaranteed, but after putting in a performance like that against the guy at middleweight, I would have a lot of confidence that he's going to down. Barros, I think, is the guy that's the WBC champion right now, and I think that Conor Benn can win that world title and tick that off his career. You know, he's done it, as you says, he's done it now. They've had the fight. It was an unbelievable fight, but I would take him back down to 147-pound welterweight division, go for the world title, because that Eubank rematch will always be there. It'll always be something that people want, whether it's 2 fights down the line, 3 fights down the line, because of how entertaining it was inside and outside the ring. So to answer your question, definitely, if I'm promoting Conor Benn right now, I'm taking him down to 147 pounds to win a world title, and it's always there for him again, that option of the rematch.
And I'm kind of arguing with myself, though. The problem is that he's minted, and I'm not sure it's the gold that would motivate him, if you know what I mean. I think it probably might be to settle that score because so much was put into it. It's fascinating. I must get a word with you. Go ahead. Sorry, Jason.
Yeah, well, to be honest, Greg, like, every man gets into the sport to become a world champion.
Right.
And if he has all the riches and the money in the world, you can't buy a world title. Like, that's something that I think would really get him up in the morning and really drive him to tick that off his career list, is to become a world champion, because it's a very high possibility that he can go and win that world title. And as I says, Eubank is always there, and Eubank's a money man, without a doubt. Like, he'll always go that fight again for the money. So it's an interesting one what they'll do.
The performance of the night, arguably, in terms of actual skill and success, was Aaron McKenna. Not a lot of people would know him. He went in against Liam Smith, wasn't it? And Liam Smith himself coming up off the back of a defeat, but would have fancied his chances against a lanky, potentially inexperienced Irish boxer. But that was one of the best boxing performances I've seen in quite some time, in terms of the way he spun around Smith, how accurate he was with his punches. The tip-tapping punches, he was thrown back at the hand punches in bunches. It was really quite a remarkable performance. What did you make of Aaron McKenna, and where do you see his place in the game?
I think for Aaron, that was the perfect fight at the perfect time on the perfect stage. If you could write a fight in his career and place it there, that would be the one. Liam Smith, I think we counted it up. I think he's professional now 17 years. It was nearly 9-10 years ago when he fought Canelo. He's have a lot of miles on the clock, and this is taking nothing away from Aaron's performance. He went in there and did exactly what he was meant to do against a more experienced former world champion. Like, he went in there and beat a former world champion, so this is going to give him all the confidence in the world. Well, he was world champion. I beat him, and I didn't only beat him, I comfortably beat him nearly every single round. I can go on now and become a world champion. And that's what professional boxing is about. It's about getting the right fights at the right times. And Aaron McKenna took that opportunity with both hands, and he is right up there now. One thing is now that he beat Liam Smith, yes, brilliant name, former world champion, but Liam Smith is well past his best.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron McKenna can't really go any lower now than Liam Smith again. You know, he's in that bracket now where he has to fight top-rated fighters. And if he comes in against somebody at his own prime now, or in their prime as well, the similar to Aaron, which is going to happen now when he's at that level, that's when we're going to see really how far Aaron can go. He has shown everything that it takes to go to the top against a Liam Smith. Now it's time for him to get in there with somebody around his own age, around the same stage in their career, that are both hungry, young, and fighting for that world title strap. Then we see how far Aaron McKenna can go. But for now, he has shown absolutely everything. Amazing performance on the biggest of stages, and took it all in his stride. An absolute fantastic performance by him, and you know, he set himself up lovely now for next couple of fights in his career to really go on and get what he wants.
And I think given his style, unless he can adapt, I think his professional window might be narrower than others, if you know what I mean, given the fact he moves so much and stuff. So he'll need to crack on with good matchmaking. Very finally, right, you're not retired yet, Jason. What have you got the call from?
Officially.
Officially. Are you fighting again?
Well, look, there's a lot of things going on right now with the management and promoting and everything like that. There's no eagerness to get back into the ring right now. If the right opportunity came along, if a Jake Paul phone call came along, I would jump at the chance.
Do you have world title ambitions
now,
anymore, Jason? Like, you know, you've been there. You fought. You know, you headlined your own show on DAZN. Like. You talked earlier on about the desire that Ben and Eubank had, and you're not going to waste your time with your family. Do you have, you know, title aspirations anymore, or would it be a sort of a crossover Misfits kind of a thing that might make you interested? Like, are you motivated to do what needs to be done at the very highest level to secure a strap?
It's something that has been going over in my head, Greg. You know, it's I'm at that stage where I still have a lot left in the tank if I want to give it another rattle, and at the same time, you know, I'm at an age as well where you're still young and you can still enjoy the rest of your life and everything as well. But it's just, to be honest, it's one that I'm still sitting with, Greg, at the minute. And
yeah, but when that happened, did you think like, you know, really what you'd want, wouldn't you? You'd want to be sort of watch that match on Saturday and go, you know what? I could get in the mix here. I'm at the same weight as Chris Eubank Jr. You know, I've got an in with Eddie Hearn. You know, maybe he wants a different type of fight next time out. You know, if you're not sort of not sleeping on Saturday because you want a piece of that, then you're probably leaning more towards the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I think that once you're a fighter, you're always a fighter, and no matter if I'm 40, 50, 60 years of age, I think you're always going to get a little bit of butterflies in the stomach. You're always going to get a little bit of, geez, I could get in there and give that a go. Like, it's just that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff's instilled in you, and you know, once you have that attitude of, you know, when you're a boxer, when you're a fighter, Greg, like, you know, you always fancy yourself. You always think that you can get in there and give it everything, and that's the mindset that you need to become a champion anyway. But I think anybody that's in this sport, you're never going to get into that ring, and you should never get into that ring unless you think that you're well and capable of doing it. So it doesn't matter what age I'll be, Greg. I think if I watch a fight like that on Saturday night, I'll always get a wee butterfly, or I'll always get a wee something inside me saying, "Geez, we'll give it a rattle." So look, not beating around the bush either. Like I'm just, I'm on the fence right now, and very shortly I need to make up my mind what's going on, because either way it doesn't get beneficial and either.
No, because really what you'd be talking about if you were going to go at it again, you'd actually be talking about locking yourself away, hooking up with a trainer. Exactly. And one very, very, very final question, and maybe I'm wrong in how I've judged your career. Do you ever regret not, because you went to the States and with De La Hoya and all that, do you ever regret not doing the full British boxing scene, European titles, domestic fights, big domestic fights? Is that any regret that you have, or do you think, because I feel we were kind of robbed a little bit of the big home nights, proper sort of built domestic fights for probably an Irish title, but if the truth be told, like a European or an international or a British title, and then moving on from there?
Yeah, well, like, I would never have fought for a British title anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of European, worlds, intercontinental titles, that would definitely have been something. Of course, you would love to have taken back home to Ireland and defended or won that title over here, and had those big nights. And it's something that I look back on and be like, would it have been different if I had done it more at home? Would it have been different if I'd done it more over in LA and in the States? It's a very hard question. Like, I do definitely feel as if, I'm on the same page as you, that I think the people missed out that followed me all through my career, especially throughout my amateur career and, into the professional game. Because look, it's not cheap. It's not easy to get away over to the States for big fights and everything like that. So, maybe I do wish that I had a couple more fights back at home, at that high level, like, at fighting for the world title, fighting the likes of Shane Mosley Jr. Like, imagine taking those fights back to Ireland. Like, those would have been incredible. But it was just the way that it panned out. I was signed with Golden Boy De La Hoya, and then I was with Eddie, and any of the opportunities, I kind of had made my name a little bit over in the States then at that stage, and the Zone always wanted to have me on over in the States, the likes of Madison Square Garden, the likes of Boston, they kind of wanted me more there to sell those shows.
And you also jumped stages that you couldn't go back on. You talked a little earlier about Aaron McKenna. Do you know what I mean? You kind of catapulted above that. It would have been a come down for you to then start, in the traditional domestic scene, if you know what I mean. It's just the pathway, no regrets. But I mean, we had great nights. Don't get me wrong. It's just the one element of it, like the sort of the Steve Collins route and getting to a big, that sort of way.
Of course, like those would have been nice as well. Do you know what I mean? But like, it's if I had done those, would I have got to fight Madison Square Garden? Would I have got to
You've
fight
done all right.
Las Vegas?
You've done all right.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, there's always two sides of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of just of course, the one that you didn't have or you didn't want. Of course, it'd been great to do them all. But the ones that you didn't get, you'd be like, I wonder would that have been good.
Yeah,
And then if I hadn't done that, like the amount of UK and Irish fighters that their whole aim and their whole goal
do
is,
what you did.
like Josh Warrington is all he wants is a fight in the States, a big fight in the States. You know what I mean? But he's done everything in Leeds and had a massive following in Leeds and sold out arenas. So look at all sure. Who knows?
Exactly. No, it's just because I've often thought myself, and there's no point me thinking when I have an opportunity to put it to you. Listen, great stuff, Jason. Thanks so much for the chat. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, Greg.
Take care.
Thanks for having me on.
Bye-bye.
Chat to you about
If you are a victim of domestic violence, help and support are available. We spoke to Neve from the communications team in Kewen about the state and non-state support in Donegal available to victims of domestic, sexual and gender-based violence.
COON is the National Domestic, Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Agency. So we fund and support the services on the ground who work with victims and survivors of domestic or sexual violence. We also run awareness-raising campaigns, and we really want to share the message that if you are a victim of domestic or sexual violence, you are not alone. There are support services from state agencies and the voluntary sector available to help you.
For Donegal support services, go to alwayshere.ie/Donegal.
Tom Duffy's Circus is now back in Letterkenny at the Kiltoy Roundabout. The same great location with a new show, new surprises, the Globe of Death and the same unforgettable magic. Don't be confused. The only place you'll see Ireland's favourite circus this weekend is at the Kiltoy Roundabout. Last year's show sold out. Must finish Monday. Don't miss out. Book now at duffycircus.com.
Thank you for attending this meditation session for badgers who forgot to check for gas pipes before digging, without knowing how disruptive it could be, putting others at risk and doing it unknowingly for all their working life. And it could have been avoided had they just checked in the first place. Let's begin.
Always check for gas pipelines before you break ground. Visit gasnetworks.ie/dig for more information.
Bingo every Monday night at the Halfway House Bingo, Burnfoot. Doors open 7:30 with ice down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. Snowball is now €1,900 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Milford Tiles, Milford Retail Park. Spring sale now on. 45 by 45 tiles, $12.99 a square yard. 60 by 60 tiles, $15.99 a square yard. 12 by 600 tiles, $24.99 a square yard. In stock and ready to go at Milford Tiles. 083 0910 707.
Join me, Marty Friel, this and every Friday night from 8 for Rocket Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. Try their new interactive dartboards with lots of games that all the family can play. See arena7.ie.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with stress, anxiety, insomnia? Then ask for Irish Botanica Peace and Calm, a traditional herbal remedy. Irish Botanica Peace and Calm has a naturally relaxing effect, ideal for stress, insomnia, jet lag, and pre-exam anxiety. Call us a natural way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
It's your chance to CFC save big with CFC Interiors Campsie Derry in our massive £1.5 million stock clearance. We have slashed prices across all departments with up to 75% off across our 3 CFC stores. Our massive £1.5 million stock clearance is now on. Visit CFC Campsie Derry before it all goes.
Do you know someone who's a real-life superhero in your community? Highland Radio's Community Hero campaign is here to honour those incredible people who go above and beyond to help others. Nominate someone special today, and they could win €1,000 as a thank you for all they do. Just email their name, address, and the reason you're nominating them, and your contact details to hero@highlandradio.com. Entries close on the 5th of May 2025. Let's give your local hero the recognition they truly deserve. Visit highlandradio.com for more information.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Alice Lynch, owner of Maggie's Tavern, and this is our Monday Focus because 30 years, astonishing 3 decades. Thanks so much for calling in, Alice. Hard to believe your first visit into the station.
Absolutely.
To sit and have an interview, sorry. Yeah.
Absolutely, the first visit, and delighted to be here, and thank you for your invitation, Greg.
You're delighted to be from St. Johnston as well, and the people of St. Johnston, a very proud St. Johnston woman.
Yeah, East Donegal, St. Johnston, born and bred, all the rest. So delighted to be there. Just settled into the hub of the pub. Was living in Sligo for a number of years, moved on, but then came back to the pub. So 30 years this year, and delighted to be part of it. And my community has been so supportive of me.
But you too, of the community, it's a hub. It's new. I hope we were talking last, and I'm not sort of comparing a church with a pub. Don't get me wrong, but we were talking yesterday about the importance of a building, and sometimes we overlook how important a local establishment can be, and how many memories are formed and associated with there.
Well, the pub Maggie's has been the hub for a lot of christenings, funerals, parties, different events. Never mind playing cards, never mind playing darts or in that line. So we've also been very supportive in regards to charity events. We've supported the Little Angels, and actually we've had 125,000 over 10 years of cycling. We have had the TR Barbecue Committee, which was the Pig in the Spit. And again, Tony Rogers and the guys there had over 130,000. So we have given back. So I feel very gratitude, it's so much support, and I feel gratitude to all those people that have supported me, and then we have equally supported them back, whether it be the Down syndrome, the Donegal Community Hub in Balbuffet for special people. So we have given back as well, but I'm delighted that they have been using Maggie's as their hub, and then we have helped support the charities.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship, and not every business owner recognises that. So it's great that you do. I'm trying to think of recessions and crises over 30 years. There've been many ups, and we've talked of just the ups there, and the downs as well. Business is tough, isn't it? At times.
Absolutely. 30 years ago, I entered the pub and customers came in, but their needs have changed. So in 2007 or so, I attended a Leo event in Letterkenny in the Radisson, and I remember a talk going, and it was about you'll have to get involved in food. And I remember not liking hearing what I was hearing at the time from the Leo, but I remember thinking, I have to do something about this. So through that then, I went then and became a chef. I went to Killybegs Catering College, the ATU campus over in Killybegs. And I did the 2 years over there, and therefore then we were able to do the food in the pub. I didn't like it at the time, but it was the best thing to do, for to just go, and I took on the challenge and I did it. It wasn't easy with a small family and all the rest, but if you want to do something, you have to go and do it. And I went ahead and did it. And through that then I became the party, so my customers' needs changed. So then I catered for their parties, like small, simple food. Burgers, sausages, just simple stuff, but we have the best beef in the country. I cook it for 10 hours and you have to sample our beef.
Well, no, that sounds like an invite.
But I changed our offering out there. I attended different courses. I went to the ETB. I learned about social media. I went to the local enterprise board. So I went out to different
Well, it's constantly adapting and learning. Every day is a learning day, but you're the proof for that. And I think you're so right, because you do see it as a customer, whereby with the best will in the world, you can tell that a business hasn't looked at its clientele. So they have an idea as to the type of restaurant or food service they want to provide, but then they haven't sort of looked at their clientele and what they want. And that's probably a potential problem. You always adapted your offering to what you knew your customers wanted.
Well, I didn't always get it right either.
No.
But I definitely tried hard about it. And I tried to keep the price point right as well with our changing costs. And cost of doing business, it has gone so high, it's just unbelievable. But you still have to think about who I am serving and who is the people putting the bread and butter on my table, on our table. So I have tried to run the business with the clientele that I have. We don't have any tourists, so it's ordinary local people like myself and ordinary people that come and support us. So we have to keep a balance there, and that hasn't been easy, but I'm getting on with it and people appreciate it.
All the best to Alice and all the team at Maggie's Tavern, who do so much to raise funds for the Donegal Hospice. That's one of the charities you mentioned, and we'll come back to some of that. But also too, you talked about how busy you were, running a business, obviously spending a lot of time in upskilling, having young family, and all the responsibilities that come with life. But also too, you've a big passion in ladies sport. Talk to me, why that is and how you've tried to support ladies' sport over the years.
This is my legacy. When I started the pub, there was no women involved in any sport, not even darts. And even my Aunt Maggie that had the pub before me, there was no ladies playing darts. I remember as a child throwing darts, but my legacy is supporting the local football women's teams, supporting the teams, supporting the cricket club, which I have. They have a new team as well in St Johnstone, the cricket club. I've sponsored a cup there. So on Saturday, we're going to have 7-a-side ladies, and it's going to be organised by Louise Sharkey, who is busy in our football, and 7-a-side, and I'm giving them a small financial contribution. But I want to say to them, if you can do it, you can do it. Just go and do it. It's just like Rory McIlroy saying, keep coming back, keep working hard at it, and you can do it. Like anything is possible.
Never give up on your dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely that is my legacy. The women in sport, the women can do it if they want. I've seen so much change, and I'm an advocate for the women in sport. And just get on and do it. And, you know, when you're doing some sort of exercise, you feel far better. I myself just have to walk. And I'm very blessed that I have a walking partner, Larissa Finney. So, and I go to the Lifford AC, but I can't run at all. So, no running for me.
Friday the 2nd of May, there's a weekend of events celebrating 30 years in Maggie's. There's an opening celebration. It's a free event. Complimentary food served. Special guest Jessica McKean.
Yes,
that's
Jessica
right.
is Jessica.
That's at 7.
Yeah, Jessica McKean. She represented Ireland in the Junior Eurovision. We have Clement Clark. We have, and then the big band. Then at night, then Martin Cuff. But this is for my locals. Those people, you know who you are. I'm opening my doors. Come on and. See what you can get, whatever it is. But I'm very grateful for your support in the past, and I look forward to the future. So it's a nice free evening in whatever way you can, with food or whatever. So I'm very welcoming anyone that can make time.
It's an open info, of course, and as you say, it's of the community, for the community. On Saturday, there's an MS charity walk at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. There's a kids' fun day, the football challenge you mentioned, live music in the bar. From 8, and then in the evening, Gary Gamble, Olivia Douglas, Brian Kerrigan, and a surprise guest.
Yes, well, we're not going to tell you who the surprise guest is.
I always get it out of people when they try to not tell me.
It could be a little gentleman and a very, very number one representative of Donegal. And who's the number one in Donegal?
But I also see who's also there, and I'm wondering.
Yes, you know yourself. It's going to be
all right.
We're so proud.
Okay.
We're so proud.
Sunday the 4th of May, live music in the bar. Johnny Mac can spin the wheel, and then the closing celebration, country harmony, and the step-by-step dancers performing as well. So you're gonna have a good fun weekend.
Yes, and I hope to, like, it's about family fun as well. So we have Bring the Teddy Bear there for the kids, Kevin's Train as well, also there. So it's to encapsulate every age group. It's a community, it's a hub. Everybody's welcome, you know. So that's what we're trying to encapsulate.
And
something for everybody.
I get the impression from you, Alice, you're full of energy, you're full of drive. Are you always looking at what next?
Well, at this moment, this milestone has given me a little bit of thought. What's it all about? Like, it can't last forever, but at the same time, at this moment, I'm enthusiastic. I want to keep doing it for another while, but I am emphasising about the women's sport, and I'm also so grateful for all customers that have come through my door, Maggie's door, for the last 30 years, and I really wish them very well and health and happiness. And I know that we have helped through the charities. We have given back, and I hope to continue to give back for another while. So I'm not finished yet.
No, exactly. It sounds like I'm trying to get everyone to retire today. That wasn't my motivation for asking. Congratulations to Alice and her team from all on the MS Donegal committee. She's been a great support to us, and we would like to let her know how much we appreciate all the support she's given to us over and here to another 30 years. Just to wish Alice the best of luck in her celebrations this weekend. That's another one from MS Donegal. Alice and her family have helped support MS Donegal branch over the years, as the first pig in a spit was donated to the branch, and we had coffee mornings, even one last Saturday where we collected €615. So good wishes to the future. That's amazing. One coffee morning, €650 for that great organisation. Just goes to show.
Well, and then just during the weekend that we're having, so when people come in on the night, okay, we're inviting them to buy lines, €2 or 3 for a fiver, and that is going to be shared between Patrice McCrossan, you know, the McCrossan family and poor wee Zach, then the Balbafay Community Hub for special people, for special adults in Balbafay, and then the third one is Deal Harps Football, because they're supporting us as well. So there's a bit of giving back in that as well. So I'm delighted.
And I love the appreciation you have for locals, because what you do see in certain areas that, you know, do get tourism industry, that locals can get forgotten about during the busy times. And yet come winter time, it's like, well, where are all the locals? You know, whereas it's 365 days a year. I mean, obviously, you're going to have people call in on the way past and come in from different towns, don't get me wrong, but you realise your success is down to your relationship with your locals.
Well, my locals are my bread and butter. We don't have a tourist area, so my locals are my bread and butter, and I deeply appreciate them.
Best of luck to Alice for the 30th anniversary celebrations from everyone at Deal Harps FC. Thanks for all your support throughout the years. We're so proud of you, Alice. Well done. That comes in from Debbie. And the Swilly Gardening Club in Buncrana. You say there's no tourists.
They came a bus load.
Yeah. Yes. You say there's no tourists.
Oh, yeah. Well, I meant I'm standing corrected there. Yeah.
I'm with Buncrana tourists. But anyway, they had a light lunch in Maggie's Tavern last June. We were made so welcome on the day by Alice and her staff, and the food was lovely. That comes in from Margaret. I'm only messing. Of course, Buncrana's aren't tourists. Listen, Alice, have a great weekend. Do you allow yourself to enjoy it? Or I haven't seen you in action. Are you up to high dough, making sure everything's right, or do you chill?
On the Friday night is my night. I'm going to get dressed up, and Micklehoney's I got the suit in Micklehoney's, so it's a cerise pink, and this is not me, but you know what? You have to get out there, because I'm always telling my customers, you have to celebrate your achievements, because the negatives come at us anyway every day.
Well, people will spot you anyway in your beautiful pink suit. Congratulations, Alice. Lovely having you in.
Greg, thank you for your hospitality, and to everybody else. And I want to thank my husband and family for all their support as well, and everybody else. Thank you very much for having me.
Take care. That's Alice Lynch back with the weather.
Ahead of the busy summer season, why not have your children's eyes checked at Louis Walsh Opticians in Letterkenny? Right now, when you buy one pair of children's glasses, you'll get a second pair free. Some terms and conditions apply. See the full range of glasses at Louis Walsh Opticians in the Courtyard Shopping Centre, Letterkenny.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
Are you looking for a university that's more than just a place to study? Welcome to the Atlantic Technological University, where you'll enjoy a vibrant student life, exciting career opportunities and a supportive community every step of the way. Visit the open evening at our Letterkenny campus on Thursday the 1st of May from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. and discover why so many students choose ATU for their university experience. Visit atu.ie/open days for details. ATU, your future is here.
With Circle K Extra, save up to 3 cents per litre on fuel every time you fill up. Download the Circle K app today and start saving.
At Bluebird Care, every day is an opportunity to make a real difference. Where you change lives, where you're supported, where you belong. We're recruiting care assistants and nurses across Donegal for roles that offer flexibility, competitive pay and a supportive team that's always by your side. Whether you're seeking full-time, part-time or flexible shifts, Bluebird Care is where you can change lives every day. Are you ready to join a team that cares as much as you do? Apply today at bluebirdcarecareers.ie. Bluebird Care, where you belong.
Discover Centra Simple Savers, your go-to for great everyday value. Like Centra Fresh Irish Chicken Fillet 680 gram, only €7.50. Hunky Dory 6-pack, only €2. And La Bruta Zinfandel Petite Syrah, €10. Enjoy easy, simple prices weekly on your favourite products. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, we're a bit behind because I got to talk about sport, didn't I? And I forgot about outbreaks. But anyway, dry for the rest of the day with spells of hazy sunshine gradually breaking through. Temperature